Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063. The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly in once again today for Jared. Jared will be back on Friday. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. As always, we are brought to you by the Southern Bank of Tennessee, your bank for small business. Gentlemen, how are we on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon?
I'm kind of ticked. I'm over the average age of 15 and a half already.
I know.
We got to stop that.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting all the teenager jokes. I am 25 years old.
I'm 21. So that puts us at an average age of 23.
See, I think in order to be considered super young, your age has to start with, like, the year you were born starts with 2000. So you fall in there. I am still a 99 baby. So I
am young. I wear that with a badge of pride. I'm the youngest one in this industry, in this city. So
that is true. It is true. It's an accomplishment.
That is an accomplishment. It's something we should celebrate, not
That's true. You should. Yeah, you shouldn't be knocked for that at all. We got a fun show planned for you today. We mentioned yesterday it's list season as we get ready for NFL training camp. So all of the rankings are coming out. Bill Barnwell ranked the Titans playmakers, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, the worst in the NFL. We're going to start with that in the next segment. Do we think he's right? How far can the Titans rise in those rankings by the end of the year? Again, we're also going to continue our NFL preview. This week, we're going all the way through. We split it into quadrants. We've already done the AFC North and the NFC North, both East divisions. Today, we go out west, AFC West, NFC West. That's in the 3 o'clock hour. Bleacher Report also listed their Titans Mount Rushmore. We will go through the 4 they picked, what changes we would make, and much more. But first, what headlines do we have this morning? Parker Kelly, why don't you lead us off?
Well, I would just like to give a quick shout out to Kroger because on my way here, I needed to fill up my gas tank, and
no free ads.
I got no free advertising.
You're doing a free ad right now.
Anyways, an undisclosed gas station. I got 120 off a gallon. So unlike Connor, I'm actually doing pretty swell today. So I thought
I was doing swell, and then I walked in, and Willie and Derek just
until the teenager jokes,
and then David James made it worse.
What did David do?
I don't know.
Just saying you were young?
I could hear him outside when I walked in.
Okay, so my headline actually has to do with the new quarterback show, and I'm not going to steal Connor's thunder or anything, but overall general first impressions from the first episode. Just watched the first episode last night. I really enjoyed it, and I really like how they're getting Jared Goff on here, and they're talking about how he got pushed out by the LA Rams. He was welcomed with open arms by Detroit. The city absolutely embraced him, loves him. And yeah, I really liked the first episode. Really excited to finish the season.
Yeah, I watched the first full season of that. It was Mahomes, Cousins, and Mariota. I did watch that full season. I started receiver last year and didn't get through it.
Yeah.
But I may have to get back into it for this one because it does seem like it's pretty well received at this point.
It's pretty good. That's kind of where my headline goes. I was watching it too last night, and I saw they were talking to Kirk Cousins about him coming over to Atlanta and how he didn't want to sign with Minnesota because it was more of a year-to-year thing and he wanted someplace long-term. Then, of course, the Falcons draft Michael Penix Jr. They asked Kirk Cousins his thoughts on that, and basically he said, yeah, I was kind of pissed. It didn't make sense for us long-term or my career long-term, and I don't really know how I fit into this equation. And I saw that, and I was like, oh, that's going to make some headlines. People are going to be watching that and saying, that's a headline. Sure enough, I wake up this morning, get an alert from, I think it was one of the national NFL guys, and I was like, yep, called that one.
Yep.
So, that's a good one.
No, I think that was probably one of the bigger things that I wanted to see with this season of quarterback was just how that whole thing was handled with Kirk Cousins, because you bring him in as a free agent, sign him to what? It was a 3-year deal, 4-year deal?
4 years, $180 million.
Yeah, and then you go draft a quarterback in the top 10. We've seen this happen before in maybe not the exact same way, but similar. I will be interested to look at that.
And we obviously know what happens.
Like, right. We know exactly how it plays out. So
I'm just curious his thoughts on stuff. Like, they're going to ask him, how did it feel being benched for the guy that was essentially drafted to be a replacement? And I'm really, really interested to see how he feels about that.
And it was interesting too, because he talked about the offense and how there were a bunch of like motions and stuff, and it just did not feel like football to him.
Yeah.
So there was like obviously a lot going on behind the
scenes. That was
one
quote he had.
Yeah.
He was like, when's it going to feel like we've been playing football all our lives? And if it takes 6 weeks, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
And it clearly took longer than that because the Falcons missed the playoffs.
Got to say, the Falcons in the 2 seasons of quarterback, they've been on both, and neither time did they come out smelling like flowers. I mean, the whole Marcus Mariota situation, we don't really know exactly who's to blame in that, where Marcus, I guess, said he was going to get surgery, and Arthur Smith apparently never heard that and said that he left the team, all that kind of stuff 2 years ago. And then this year with Kirk basically saying he was blindsided by the whole Michael Penix situation. So I might have to watch that. I think you guys have convinced me that
it's interesting.
I will start it. My headline today is not sports related. Connor, I know you're big on gym etiquette, so I wanted to get I wanted to get some thoughts on this. And Parker, I think you would have some thoughts on this too. So I went to the gym this morning, and big line of benches, they're all open.
Okay.
And so I wasn't actually using a bench, but I was doing dumbbell workouts. So I just went and set up at the far end next to the last bench. Figured that was out of the way, but still a place where I could,
I know
do my workouts. Guy comes up. Again, every bench is open and sits down on the bench right next to me.
Oh my God. See, I put that on the same level as bathroom etiquette.
I was about to say, is it like the urinal game? I mean, with benches where like there's an etiquette of which ones you choose.
It's the unwritten rule. Like,
right.
Have you ever had to explain the urinal rule to a significant other before?
Yeah.
Jake?
Yeah.
You had to...
No, because they don't understand it, but it's.
I'm sorry.
I've had girlfriends.
Have you ever had to explain it before, Connor? Sorry, I didn't want to leave you out there.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yes. And it's very, there is an etiquette to it of what you choose. And I felt very blindsided today when I'm doing my workouts and this guy just comes up and sets up shop right next to me.
How sweaty was he? That's a really weird question to ask. But
he wasn't super sweaty, but I'm
clipping that.
He was only there for like 3 minutes. He knocked out 2 quick sets and then walked away and went to the next. I was like, all right, I don't know what's going on here, but I was I had a reaction to it that I don't know how to explain, but I was just like, what are you doing?
I may have to put out a revised set of gym etiquette.
Yeah, I know you did Newt's notes on this.
We did that a while ago. Now you're going to send me on a whole tangent. People that just sit at the machines on their phones,
right,
drives me insane. I mean, we could do a whole show on this.
Yeah, it was something, as soon as it happened, I was like, I think Connor will have some pretty strong thoughts on this. But that was my thought was that benches, it's the same way as it would be in the bathroom of, all right, if there is a spot where I don't have to be next to somebody, I'm not going to be next to somebody. Obviously, if there's one bench left, it's all good to take it.
It's like parking.
Right.
Like if it's an open parking lot and there's one car there, I'm probably going somewhere, A, that's far away from them, and B, where I can pull through. Right. That's easier.
Exactly. No, I'm glad that we're all on the same page because that it irked me this morning.
Are you excited? Because I know Nevada Josh is excited.
Yes.
It's Raiders Day.
It is Raiders Day.
It's Raiders Day.
Yes. Nevada Josh told us, is it? I don't want to get it wrong. Nevada.
I say Nevada.
But
a lot of people in this area say Nevada.
Well, I know that there is a right way to say it, and I always worry I'm saying it wrong. It's like Louisville. Like Louisville.
Right.
But like some people say Louisville. And it gets people.
Is it caramel or caramel?
I go caramel.
Bingo.
Caramel.
Wrong.
I know it's probably wrong, but I don't care.
We've gone off on a ridiculous
tangent. There's only one wrong, last one, that Joe Rexroad and I, and Robbie too, fight on. It's called soda. It's not pop.
Yeah, it's not pop. It's soda.
See, you're a northerner. You know this.
Well, I'm not a Midwesterner. Midwesterners are the ones who say pop.
Midwesterners are the worst, man.
Indiana,
let me tell you.
Let
me tell you.
Did you know that people in Louisiana call everything Coke?
I thought that was just a Southern thing. We kind of do the same thing
really?
here.
Do you know what they call water fountains in Milwaukee?
The bubbler.
Bubblers.
Wow. Yeah, the Midwest, they've got some lingo. And the accents are funny. Roof. They'll say roof.
Tag. We're gonna go play a game of tag.
Anyway, yeah.
Jaguar.
It's not cornhole. It's bags.
Culvers.
Bags. Josh, anyway, on our text line says, been waiting all week for this one, talking about the coming season champs, so beware. He did warn us on Monday that there was no reason to do our NFL preview exercise because the Raiders are taking home the Lombardi. So we will talk about the Raiders coming up in the 3:00 hour. We are going to lead off the show with the Titans, though. Bill Barnwell of ESPN ranked the NFL playmaking groups from 1 to 32. Spoiler alert, the Titans are 32. Is that right? Is that wrong? And where can the Titans make the most strides when it comes to their running backs, receivers, and tight ends? Also, Chris Sanders, forever Titans wide receiver, is going to join us at 2:45. Excited for that. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly. We are in for Jared Stillman today, off and rolling here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix is coming to the Nashville Super Speedway Labor Day weekend, and 102.5 The Game has your chance to win VIP tickets to the IndyCar race. Text in the keyword RACE, R-A-C-E, now to 615-737-1025 to be entered to win a pair of VIP tickets. For more information on the event, visit musiccitygp.com. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt in for Jared Stillman today. Parker Kelly with us as well. We did get clarification on our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com that it is Nevada, not Nevada. Thank you, Nevada.
I will still say Nevada. But let's talk some sports, shall we?
If you want to chime in, again, you can text us 615-737-1025. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's talk some Titans. This week, Bill Barnwell ranked the playmaking groups, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, across the NFL, 1 through 32. And I've already spoiled it for you. The Titans dead last. And last year, they were ranked 19th. So a pretty steep drop-off. I guess he had a lot of hope for Traylon Burks last year. I'm not really sure what exactly changed all that much. Here is a little excerpt of what Bill Barnwell said. He says, Tony Pollard looked better than he did while recovering from a fractured fibula with the Cowboys in 2023, but he ranked 20th out of 23 players with at least 200 carries in success rate. Tajay Spears had a better success rate, but virtually no explosiveness. As for the wide receivers, Tyler Lockett was a cap casualty in Seattle, whose numbers were way down. Calvin Ridley was better moving around the formation in Tennessee after being trapped on the outside in Jacksonville, but he dropped 7 passes. And then he mentions the rookies. Alec Iamaner has the upside to push for a starting role, and he does mention that he did get Travis Hunter pretty good a couple of years ago when Stanford played Colorado. Looking at what Bill Barnwell says, I'm not sure that he totally grasps what the Titans' core when it comes to pass catchers and playmakers is going to look like. I do think the young guys are going to get a lot of opportunities. Calvin Ridley, as we talked about earlier this week, I think doesn't get as much credit as he deserves for being a wide receiver 1. But overall, I think it is hard to argue that the Titans do have one of the worst groups in terms of playmakers, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends in the league. There isn't really anyone established out of Calvin Ridley, and there's a lot of question marks when it comes to the young guys.
I'd say they have one of the worst. I don't know if I would go as far as to say the worst. I'm looking at the Cleveland Browns right now. They have, other than Myles Garrett, absolutely nothing. I mean, their best receiver is David Njoku, who's a tight end. He is sort of a playmaker, but when I think of explosive playmaking tight ends, he doesn't come to mind for me.
Jerry Jeudy's in there too.
Jerry Jeudy is like, he'll have one play every once in a while, but for the most part, it's just like kind of drops and maybe a short 5-yard out route or something like that. He doesn't impress me that much.
Yeah, I think Calvin Ridley would. Well, I would consider him better.
I mean, it's just I'm looking at all these teams. The Browns come to mind for me. Let's see.
Well, here's who they had: the Panthers 31st. They did take Tet McMillan in the top 10. They have Xavier Legette, who you would hope would have a big jump in his second year, with his awesome accent that he's got down there in Carolina. And Adam Thielen is probably the veteran there, but I do look at the Titans group against the Panthers group, and I know we're splitting hairs whether the Titans are 31st or 32nd, but I think I would take the Titans group because you do have Calvin Ridley, a veteran, established wide receiver 1, and a bunch of young guys competing. Whereas with Carolina, it's Adam Thielen, who is well on the downside of his career. And even though the prospects of these young players may be a little better for Carolina, they're still big question marks heading into this season as well.
I'm looking at the Denver Broncos now. They don't have many play. I mean, Patrick Surtain, of course, but on the offensive side of the ball, do you want to count Bo Nix? I don't really count him. They drafted Troy Franklin out of Oregon.
This is just running backs, wide receivers, tight ends.
Okay.
The Broncos are ranked 23rd according to Bill Barnwell. They added RJ Harvey in the draft, which I like RJ Harvey. He was UCF, right?
Yeah.
He was one of the better running backs in this class. And then Evan Ingram, coming over. I wouldn't have hated if the Titans went and got Evan Ingram.
Oh,
He's
me
not
neither.
he's not going to do much for you blocking wise, but I think he is going to be a good target for Bo Nix. And then you did mention Troy Franklin along with Cortland Sutton. So 23 seems a little high.
There's not anything there. I mean, do you think that any of those players are more explosive than Calvin Ridley potentially could be?
No.
Right.
The Chargers were 32nd last year, and they've moved up 10 spots.
They should.
With Ladd McConkey, I think that's, that was a big addition.
Amari Hampton is coming in.
They completely overhauled their running back room with Najee Harris, who can be your kind of bruising back. And then you have Amari Hampton, who can learn behind him as the rookie, picked in the first round out of UNC. So I think that is
They drafted a receiver too.
Yes, they did.
It was
Ole Miss Trey Harris.
Yeah,
yes.
Trey Harris.
So I do think that's maybe a blueprint for the Titans in terms of what the Chargers did. Is they had a couple of younger guys. I think the Titans are going to have to overhaul the running back room after this year. And that was kind of where I wanted to go with this of what can the Titans do this year to improve and not be in the cellar of the NFL when it comes to the touchdown scoring players, which again, Titans rank 32nd according to Bill Barnwell. I think running backs are going to be a big turning point for the Titans next year because Pollard, there's an out in his contract after next year. I think you can get out of that, and I think you'd probably want to. Not that he's going to be bad this year, but I
think it would depend on the season Tajay Spears has.
I'm kind of to the point where I don't know if you keep Tajay Spears.
That's what I'm saying. If he doesn't have a good season this year, if it's more of the same, I'm kind of with you. I'm to the point where I'm like, we've seen enough.
I do like Tajay Spears, and I like the pick coming out of Tulane, but Bill Barnwell mentioning that Tajay Spears wasn't very explosive last year. Isn't that kind of what he was supposed to be? Is, all right, Pollard's going to be your every down back, but when you need explosive plays, you're going to go to Tajay Spears. If he's not bringing that and not making plays out of the backfield and getting you chunk plays, X plays down the field, I don't know if there's really a whole lot of use for Tajay Spears.
That's what TD and I talked about on Talking with TD. Like, Tony Pollard was basically the Titans' workhorse last year, but he's not Derrick Henry. And that's no slight to Tony Pollard, but like he's not supposed to be a workhorse running back. So if you incorporate balance by getting Tajay Spears in there too, that takes pressure off of a rookie quarterback in Cam Ward. And like, I know what I saw at Tulane from Tajay Spears. Like, we all saw it. He was really explosive, and we just have not seen that in the NFL.
There were flashes of it in his rookie season, I think, but last year, I half expected by the end of the year, Tajay Spears was going to take the lion's share of touches from Tony Pollard, and it just never happened. And part of that is Tony Pollard did have a good season, but Tajay Spears just never really challenged him for any of that. 3555 on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHunt.com makes a good point. The Titans had D-Hop coming off a solid season heading into last year. That's why they were ranked so much higher. Does anybody else just completely forget that DeAndre Hopkins was on that team last year?
Yeah.
Like, I understand. Like, I remember he was on the team. He had a pretty good game against Miami. And they have a touchdown against the Colts too.
Yes.
But then they trade him to the Chiefs. I completely spaced that DeAndre Hopkins was on that team at the start of the year.
Imagine how Chiefs fans feel. Like, do they remember that he was on their Super Bowl roster?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and he came out and immediately scored 3 touchdowns in his first game with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think so.
He had a big game in his first game with the Chiefs, which it is funny because that was part of the quote-unquote toxic positivity with the Titans last year was, oh, you've got Ridley and Hopkins, and hopefully Burks takes a jump this year for Will Levis. And, I mean, I guess that's why you look, and they were ranked 19th last year, which isn't elite, but you're middle of the pack.
I mean, I was excited for D-Hop and Calvin Ridley on the same. We got
and
we all got hook, line, and sink.
Right, and D-Hop was coming off a really good season in that first year with the Titans. So that is funny. I was thinking about it. I was like, man, 19th. Who were they factoring in there? It was DeAndre Hopkins. That was 100% who it was.
Good point. Good text.
The Titans are not going veteran this year, and I understand they have Tyler Lockett. They got Van Jefferson. I just don't know how much those guys are going to be part of the long-term plan. This is all about the young guys. I am Anner. DK, Restrepo if he makes the team, and Gunnar Helm. Are those guys going to be able to take the next step? I think that is going to be the most important thing for the Titans if they are going to improve this group. You're going to have to add more pieces, whether that's through free agency or trade or the draft. But if you can hit on one or two of those guys, it's going to make the rebuild of this playmaking core so much easier. We'll continue on that topic coming up next. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly. We are in for Jared Stillman today, talking Titans playmakers after Bill Barnwell of ESPN ranked the Titans running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends dead last in the NFL. Also, don't forget, coming up at 2:45, forever Titans wide receiver Chris Sanders going to join us on the program. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, in for Jared Stillman today here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. 102.5 The Game has teamed up with Pella Windows and the Nashville Humane Association for a puppy pet adoption this Saturday at Pella, 277 Mallory Station Road in Cool Springs from 10 to noon. For more details, visit thegamenashville.com/events. Jake Lyman and Connor Newt filling in for Jared Stillman today and tomorrow. Jared will be back on Friday. Again, coming up at 3. We are going to continue our week-long NFL preview. We have done the North. We've done the East. Today we go out West. AFC West, NFC West. We'll run through all 8 teams and what we expect to see from them in the 2025 NFL season. Also, Chris Sanders going to join us for his weekly appearance on the program in the next segment. But continuing our conversation.
Hold on. Can I give you a little bit of breaking news?
Oh, yes.
December 6th, Bridgestone Arena, Illinois and Tennessee men's basketball.
Wow. So Tennessee's coming here.
It's a weekend.
Coming here.
The 5th.
Oh, so it's the same weekend?
It's a whole weekend.
Well, that's not exactly breaking news because John Rothstein.
I was going to say John Rothstein.
It was a good effort.
Well, Bridgestone Arena
they just
tweeted
officially announced it.
Announced it.
Yeah,
because they did play at the United Center last season. So
that'll be a fun weekend of basketball. It is nice when some big games make their way to Nashville.
Sorry.
Kentucky's playing Gonzaga?
Yes.
Gotcha.
I'll be there.
Love it.
Sorry, I was trying to break a little news because I hadn't heard that before, but
it officially became official today. So
John Rothstein just tweets out these random non-conference matchups.
John Rothstein tweets out like 100 times a day, so it's easy to miss.
St. John's will be hosting Marist in a non-conference game on November 12th. Standalone game. Like that's his tweets pretty much once an hour. So easy to miss them, but that'll be cool. Full weekend of basketball, Bridgestone Arena, Kentucky, Gonzaga, and Tennessee, Illinois. Anyway, back to our conversation around the Titans playmakers, ranked dead last in the NFL by ESPN's Bill Barnwell. That is running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. This season, I do think, and we've talked about this before, that the Titans probably going to need to make some changes in the running back room after this season.
Mm-hmm.
Probably going to have to invest some high capital, whether that's in free agency or in the draft at wide receiver, depending on what Gunnar Helm looks like tight end. But to develop depth in those positions, you need the young guys to be good. And I think out of the 3 rookie wide receivers you have that have a chance to make this team or will make the team, you need at least one of them to be a hit.
Yes.
To be a starting level wide receiver in this league. Iamaner, DK, and Restrepo. I'm not saying any of them have to be superstars. I think you're going to find a superstar somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
one needs to be serviceable.
Right.
It needs to be a target for your young quarterback.
I think you're going to find your future wide receiver 1 for Cam Ward in the first round of a draft, whether that's this upcoming year or the one after that. But you hope that maybe your wide receiver 2 or your slot guy came out of this draft.
Yes. And I mean, you can make a case for all 3 of them to likely hit without being overly positive.
Yeah, they are all very different players.
Right.
But, and again, they're either 4th round picks or undrafted free agents. So the hit rate is not very high. You're hoping that, you throw 3 darts and one of them hits the board.
Yeah, I mean, they're all, like you said, they're all different players. DK is more of a speedster, needs to work on his hands a little bit, but that's teachable. Elegamaner is more of a slot guy. Like he's going to run routes and he's going to do them effectively. And then Xavier Restrepo is slower, plays game speed, but he's more of a physical kind of guy. And it helps that, that was Cam Ward's teammate. So they all have cases that A, they're all probably going to make the roster, and B, one of the 3 all have cases to likely hit. Maybe not likely, but there's a possibility.
I think when you take 3 chances on talented guys like that, and I know there's the people who aren't as high on Restrepo, and I get it. He didn't run a good 40 time. He's undrafted, so you can't really expect much from him.
Right.
But he was an All-American.
Yeah.
And he was the all-time leading receiver at the University of Miami.
And a Biletnikoff contender.
Like I'm not saying that he's going to be a star, but I think the idea of him making the team is maybe not likely, but very, very possible.
Right. I just think he's going to make the team. It's not me saying, well, he's going to be an all-pro receiver
Right.
his first year. I have no idea what he's
I think he's your backup slot this year.
Yeah. I don't think he sees the field much if he makes the roster.
Here's the thing, guys. I did my official 53-man roster projection, and I said, TD and I both said at the start of the year or the start of the offseason that Xavier Restrepo would make this team. Here's the problem, though. There are so many guys on this that have potential that are fringe guys.
Right.
Bryce Oliver being one of them. Mm-hmm. And Bryce Oliver had 3 touchdowns the final day of minicamp. If he continues that production, Bryce Oliver's making the team.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that leaves Xavier Restrepo.
The back end of this wide receiver room in terms of, I feel pretty good that obviously Ridley, Lockett, Iamaner,
Jefferson,
DK, Jefferson probably make the team. Here's my question for you. If you're only keeping 6, do you cut Van Jefferson to get Restrepo and Oliver on the roster? It's a tough question because that leaves your receiver room really young. That means you have 3 rookies and a second-year guy who was a practice squatter most of last year as your wide receivers 3 through 6. So it's very young. But I also just wonder, do you take the risk of trying to sneak Restrepo or Bryce Oliver through waivers to get him to the practice squad when Van Jefferson, he had like 200 yards last year?
Yeah. But I'd be okay with, I think I'd keep him just for locker room things. He's a veteran. He's a wide receiver that can help some of these young guys learn a thing or two. Not that he's the greatest wide receiver of all time, but he knows what an NFL game looks like, and he knows how to succeed on an NFL team. I mean, he was on the Rams Super Bowl team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So I would keep him just for an experience perspective, just for, you have a receiver that has experience in the league and that these young guys can kind of learn from.
It's a ceiling versus floor argument because I think Van Jefferson would be a safe pick. I think you'd feel really good about Van Jefferson being your wide receiver 4 or 5.
Right.
But in terms of long-term potential, I don't know if Van Jefferson is going to be part of this long-term. Actually, I pretty much know that the Titans are not going to look at Van Jefferson as a long-term plan.
No, he's not a long-term investment. I think he's more of a 1 to 2 year guy that, we're going to bring in to try and get our wide receiver room back on track with some of these young guys that we bring in.
Which just makes me wonder if it's close between Jefferson, Restrepo, Oliver, and you're only keeping 2, I might lean towards keeping the young guys and giving them a chance, especially in a year where you're probably not going to compete. Give those guys the reps on the active roster and hope that they turn into starting level players heading into next year. Let's quickly go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Adam from Portland wants to chime in on the Titans wide receivers. Adam, what's going on? Go ahead.
Dude, it's real weird, though, because if you think – did you guys follow the Titans in 2021?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay, so do you remember that year? We had Julio, we had AJ, and I was like, this team's going to be great. Like, this is going to be an all-time Titans roster. Julio gets hurt. AJ wasn't AJ. Like, he had moments, but then he ended up getting hurt as well. And the next thing you know, man, it's like Marcus Johnson's playing more.
Right.
Racing McMath's playing more. And then Marcus Johnson gets hurt. As soon as he has a 100-yard game, he gets hurt. So all these dudes you're saying may have a role, man. I don't want to say they're trash. They're obviously not studs, but there's going to be somebody that has to step up. There's dudes that you guys are not talking about right now that's going to be making balls or catching balls for Cam Ward. Like, that's the interesting thing about it. It's like we're seeing our team be rebuilt, so we actually get to see this developing part. I think I like Restrepo, man. Like, I'm not dismissing the fact that he could play. If he's good with Cam, there's been plenty of slow dudes that end up like busting out in the NFL.
No, it's a very good point. And you're right that most likely Mason Kinsey will find his way onto an active roster at some point.
I guarantee that's going to happen. I can almost guarantee that's going to happen.
He always tweets it out, the Simpsons meme of him getting thrown out and then standing right back behind him.
Colton Dowell's also a possibility. Like,
practice squad.
He's definitely not going to make the 53-man roster, but I don't know because you can keep 15 guys on the practice squad, but they have to go through waivers. I don't see Colton Dowell as a guy that's going to go to another team, so he may just re-sign with the Titans on the practice squad.
It's true, and it's very possible. I love that Adam did mention the 2021 team because that is true. Everybody looks back and is like, oh, A.J. Brown, Julio Jones. But there were games when the Titans starting wide receivers were Marcus Johnson and
Racey McMath.
Do you guys know in the rain-soaked, horrible Tannehill threw 4 picks, lost to the Texans that year? I was at this game visiting Nashville at Nissan Stadium. Do you know who caught the only touchdown in that game for the Titans?
Which game was this?
This was the Titans-Texans game in 2021. The Titans were horrible. Tannehill I think he threw 4 picks, and they lost to a Texans team that I think had 1 win heading into it.
Kyle Phillips.
No.
He wasn't here yet.
See, I was thinking A.J. Brown, but that was like when
AJ
the Titans.
I don't think A.J. played that
he didn't
day.
play.
Yeah.
He had an ankle thing, right?
I think so. Because he came back a couple weeks later and had that huge game against the 49ers.
Yes.
And the Ravens.
On Monday Night Football.
Thursday Night Football.
It was a prime time. I always get that mixed up.
I
just remember being at school.
Draft pick
I'm
for the
blanking on this
Titans.
one.
Des Fitzpatrick caught that touchdown.
Des Fitzpatrick.
Yes,
Hey,
Des-
where is he now?
I don't know.
Maybe we'll
Maybe
find
we'll
out.
find out at 5 o'clock. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, we'll talk about a much better Titans wide receiver, talk with a much better Titans wide receiver than some of the guys we've been discussing. Chris Sanders going to join us coming up next.
Uncle Chris.
Here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt in for Jared Stillman today. And we are now pleased to be joined on our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, by Forever Titans wide receiver Chris Sanders. Chris, always great to get a chance to talk to you. How's it going?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. I just got out the football field. My voice is a little grassy, so just kind of bear with me a little bit. You know, when you got that coaching, you screaming and yelling and all that stuff, so just kind of bear with me a little bit today.
I can't believe you guys are already up and running. When do you guys start practice?
Man, we started practice at 6 in the morning, and we just got off the dead period. But before that, we had 3 weeks of grinding, lifting weights, and, you know, installing the new offense. So we ready to go, man.
Wow.
I love it. When do pads come on, Chris?
Man, they don't come out till camp. We go to camp to Swanee and I think the 27th for like 4 days, and the pads are going to be popping. It's going to be hot, mosquitoes everywhere, and, you know, I'm going to grow an afro, and I don't got that much hair, but I'm going to grow an afro, so it's going to be on.
Hey, when did Carl Weathers start coaching?
Oh wow. Hey, what was that? Remember that dude called Mr. Bean? That's you.
That's you. You're Mr. Bean.
It's the beauty of high school football. Chris,
oh man,
we were just talking about this this article that came out yesterday. ESPN ranking the running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends for all 32 NFL teams, and the Titans were dead last, number 32. What do you think of the Titans' skill position groups, and do you think they've given Cam Ward enough to have some success in his rookie season?
You know what, I really do. And I know the reason why I know they're going off last year, and you have to go off last year, because if you look at the receiver position, Calvin really was the only guy that was kind of making plays. But I want you to understand the roster that they have now. You got some veteran guys that you picked up, like Tyler Lockett, a guy that has 661 receptions, 8,000 yards. Then you got some veterans. You got some young guys that you picked up in the draft. And then you got Van Jefferson that's kind of been lost in the shuffle. I know he won a Super Bowl with Los Angeles, but, man, you got some guys that can make some plays. I know there's about 50,000 receivers on this roster, but you have some guys that have some playmaking ability.
When you look at the rookies on this, wide receivers and tight ends with Helm and Restrepo, Iamaner, DK, who do you feel like fits the best to make an immediate impact with this team?
Restrepo. I mean, he's that dude. Everybody's getting on him because he ran like a 7.5 in the 40, something like that.
He was walking.
But see, he was walking. But here's the thing that you got to understand. It's not always about running a 4.3. It's not always about running a 4.2. That's outstanding. But this guy understands how to create separation. And we have a situation to where if the play breaks down and Cam Ward, gets in trouble, who's he going to look to? He's going to look to Restrepo. Why? Because they played at the same school. So I know we have a lot of receivers. I know we have a lot of guys. But the one guy that I absolutely love is Restrepo.
We're talking to Forever Titans wide receiver Chris Sanders. Chris, I asked Trevor Madish this question yesterday. I'm interested to get your opinion on this as well as a former NFL receiver. Cam Ward put out a video earlier this week, him working out, and then he was talking about Calvin Ridley and how he's the best receiver he's ever played with, and he can't wait to play with him. How important is that connection for the success of both of those players?
Man, it is. I mean, it's like Montana and Jerry Rice. I mean, you have, Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. Those guys work together because the thing about it is when you have a receiver and a quarterback that has the same eyes. When I say have the same eyes, is understanding what coverage is, understand when to throw the football, understand if it's one high or two high, or the middle's open over it's closed, or things like that. When you have a quarterback and a receiver that sees the same thing, you're going to have a chance to make some plays. I mean, if you look at Montana and Rice, they can be triple coverage. Montana knew where he threw the ball was. Why? Because that was his security blanket. Then now you got Cam Ward. He needs a guy like Calvin Ridley. He needs a guy that's explosive. He needs a guy that sees the field when it's cover 3 or cover 2, whatever coverage it is, to make him be a better quarterback. So when you have a guy that can make him better, but then also don't forget Tyler Lockett, 2 guys that played the game that can make him better. By why? Having the same eyes as a quarterback.
Right. And how much do you think that veteran mentality comes from, Tyler Lockett, Van Jefferson, Calvin Ridley? How much do you think that affects not only Cam Ward, but also the younger wide receivers in the room?
Man, it affects them real good because if you look at, earlier in the season, they talked about them guys watching film at 5 in the morning. They're not just doing that to be cute for the coaches to look at them and say, oh, look at me, we're here at 5 in the morning. It's understanding, okay, I'm turning on the field. This is where I need you to be. This is where your eyes need to be. When you run the comeback, beat me back to the sidelines. When you got press coverage about how to get the guy off the spot, how to lie with his eyes, how to burst off the cut, how to do all those things as a wide receiver. So now you got a quarterback that's on the same page with Calvin Ridley, with Tyler Lockett, with James Prochet, guys like that played in the league. He's going to make your quarterback not look like a rookie, but look like a professional. Why? Because they all have the same eyes.
Chris, I got a fun one for you here. We're going to have this conversation later on. Bleacher Report came out with their Mount Rushmore of Titans players since the franchise moved to Tennessee. Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore?
Oh my God.
I know you've played with a lot of these guys. Who are your top 4 Titans of all time?
You know what? Dang gummit. I have to go with Bruce Matthews. The reason why I'm going with him is because he's been a pillar of this whole organization. He was there with the Houston Oilers, came here and just was a pillar in this organization. Number 2, oh man, I'm going to have to go with Eddie George. I mean, number 1, he went to the Ohio State University with me. I'm going to put him actually on there because I love the way he worked. I love the way he took this franchise. It was a workhorse in this organization. And then number 3, I'm going to have to go with Steve Mack, one of the toughest guys that ever played against. Played the game to perfection. Played the game with a lot of heart. Played the game hurt. And then my 4th guy, I mean, you can go with C2K, CK2, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Or you can go with Derrick Henry. It's one of those. You can't go wrong. So if I had to pick, I got to go with Derrick Henry. And the reason why I'm going Derrick Henry because he put the whole franchise on his back.
It's a tough exercise.
Oh man.
You know, especially with running backs have just been,
oh my God.
There really hasn't been much of a fall off. You go from Eddie and then a couple years later get CJ. And then a few years after that, Derrick Henry. It's tough. But
it is.
You know, I think that's a pretty good list you got there.
Oh man.
I'm gonna tell D-Mace you didn't put him on that list though.
No. D-Mace is in the mix.
Honorable mention.
He's the best receiver to ever come out of this organization. Period. Hands down. It ain't even a question.
Chris, last one for you here. We're under 2 weeks away actually 2 weeks from today, first training camp practice for the Titans. Cam Ward heading into his rookie season. What do you think is going to be important for him to have success? And, you know, he's going to have some bad days, but how do you keep the confidence up as he heads into his rookie season?
You know, I'm just watching him, how he responds to adversity, because there's going to be times where, you know, Jeffrey Simmons is going to hit him in the mouth in practice. There's going to be times where he throws an interception. There's going to be times where he has a good 7-on-7. He has a bad 7-on-7. He has a good team. He has a bad team. But I want to watch how when he falls, he gets back up. When he makes a mistake, he gets back up. When he throws an interception, he gets back up. And I just want to see him keep development into the player that he is, because I went and watched practice about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he's a leader already. He's making the defense better. He's making the offense better. He's making the receivers better. He's making all these guys better. I just want him to keep going in that direction, even when he makes mistakes.
Chris, always great talking to you. Thanks for hopping off the practice field to chat with us, and we'll talk to you next week.
I'm sorry I sound like Barry White. I'm sorry.
You sound like Billy Ocean. What are you talking about?
Oh, well, you'll never find.
Always good to hear from you, Anthony Mackie.
Hey, man, appreciate y'all so much. Thank you.
Chris Sanders, forever Titans wide receiver, joining us for his weekly visit to the program. Always fun to talk with Chris Sanders. And, you know, Parker's got the talking with TD connection with him too. So, you know, throw a few jabs back and forth there. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, hour number 2 here on this Wednesday. And as we have all week, we'll continue our NFL preview, going to the West today. AFC West, NFC West. What do we see in the AFC West? Will the Chiefs roll to another division title? And in the NFC West, kind of a muddled mix of teams there. Who comes out on top? We'll go through it in hour number 2 here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3. The Game, second hour on this Tuesday. We are presented by Southern Bank of Tennessee, your bank for small business. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Great chat with Chris Sanders to wrap up the first hour of the show. But as we are doing all week long, the 3 o'clock hour is for our NFL preview. We're going division by division, 2 at a time. We did the North on Monday, the East yesterday, and today we go out west. We'll finish up with the AFC and NFC South, including the Titans tomorrow. But let's start with the AFC West. This is a division that really hasn't had much parity in the last, 8 to 10 years since Patrick Mahomes took over at quarterback for the Chiefs. Even before that, when Alex Smith was there, the Chiefs have dominated this division, but it does feel like the other teams are starting to catch up to them. The Chargers, they have Justin Herbert, and it's looking like they're starting to build around him better. The receivers are better. The offensive line is better. The defense is better.
The coach is
They have
better.
a good head coach now, unlike Brandon Staley. No offense to Brandon Staley.
Where is he now?
He's the defensive coordinator somewhere.
For the 49ers.
Yeah.
Which
Interesting.
I think he's a good defensive.
No, that's Robert Saleh.
Right, yeah. Brandon Staley.
I thought he got
Did he go
hired by
back to the Rams? No, the Saints.
The Saints
defensive
now?
coordinator for the Saints.
Okay.
Which
I think he's one of those great coordinators.
right. I think Saleh's the same way.
Yeah.
Great coordinator, but head coach just isn't their thing. And
Right.
Staley made some bad decisions. I mean, the one that will always get brought up is the week 18 Raiders, Chargers, winner gets in, loser doesn't. If they tie, they both get in. He had a tie staring him in the face, and he called a timeout instead and let the Raiders into the playoffs. Horrible. Back in 2021. But Staley's gone. Year 2 of Jim Harbaugh. The Chargers seem to be better. The Broncos made the playoffs last year under Bo Nix. But let's start with Nevada Josh's Las Vegas Raiders.
About this.
How do we feel about the Raiders? Quarterback position is definitely better this year. It was hard for it to get worse than it was last year with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. They bring in Geno Smith. They trade for Geno Smith. You draft Ashton Genty. There is reason for hope in Las Vegas. I don't know about how much hope there is for this upcoming season.
This division, I think, is so competitive. Like, it may be second to the AFC North in terms of the AFC competition. I think it's very competitive. I would honestly pick the Chiefs to win it, but we're not talking about the Chiefs. We're talking about the Raiders. So I really like the Raiders offense. I like Genty. I love Brock Bowers. I wanted the Titans to pick Brock Bowers, but alas, they did not. I think Geno Smith is a way better option at quarterback than what they had. Aiden O'Connell and whoever the other guy was. Gardner Minshew.
I think Brian Hoyer was on the roster too, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, that's bad. I think Geno Smith is a serviceable quarterback. I wouldn't put him top 10 like some CBS people would. But
yeah,
I think he's serviceable. I think he does his job. I think the Raiders, they have a good defense with Max Crosby, who I think is one of the best defensive players in the league. I could see them being competitive in this division. I don't think they would win it, but I could see them making some noise in the AFC.
I think it's fair to expect 6 to 8 wins from the Raiders this year. They had 4 last year. I think they will take a step forward. Long term, they do have to find a quarterback.
Yes.
I love Brock Bowers. I love Ashton Genty. I think you may have gotten the 2 best playmakers in the last 2 drafts, albeit not at premium positions.
They need a receiver.
But you need a star receiver. You need a quarterback. Those are way more important positions than tight end and running back. Although I think they got 2 really good ones. They do need to add some of the more premium positions. Just because I love guessing games. When was the last time the Raiders won the AFC West? I couldn't believe this when I just saw this.
2005. That's my guess.
Further back.
95.
2002.
Wow.
That was my next guess.
I have never seen the Oakland/Las Vegas Raiders win the AFC West.
The Raiders won it 3 times in a row from 2000 to 2002, and since then they have not won. And since 2009, it has only been the Chiefs and the Broncos who have won the AFC West.
The Chargers didn't win with Phillip Rivers.
They won 4 in a row from 06 to 09.
Okay.
Then the Chiefs won in 2010.
That was Breeze was a quarterback.
No.
06,
No.
06, because Breeze won his Super Bowl with the
Right.
Saints in 09.
Oh,
right?
yeah, you're right.
Somewhere in there?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe you're right.
Broncos won it 5 straight years from 11 to 15, and since then it's been all Chiefs.
Yeah.
9 straight years.
Something that shouldn't be glossed over with the Raiders, they brought in Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator, and something that he loves to do, this is going all the way back to his time at Oregon, is run the football. And really, all he needs his quarterback to do is be a ball distributor. And Geno Smith he's
one of the best at that.
He's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. So if he can just distribute to guys like Brock Bowers, they drafted Jack Best from TCU. If he can just distribute the football, I think the Raiders can be sneaky good.
I think the Raiders are going to be a team that is middle of the pack in the AFC. They're definitely not good enough to be up there with the actual contenders, but if they snuck in as the 7 seed in the playoffs, I wouldn't say it would shock me.
No, I think they can make a lot of noise in the AFC. I don't think they're going to be world-beating Super Bowl contenders.
No.
I think they are on the level of, like, let's say I'm thinking of AFC teams,
They could be
Steelers.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think the Raiders will probably end up being the 8th or 9th best team in the AFC, but if they were the 7th and lost their first game in the wild card, that wouldn't shock me either. The Denver Broncos finished 3rd in the division last year, 10-7 in Bo Nix's rookie year. Now he's got a full offseason under his belt under Sean Payton. Do we think the Broncos take the next step? And if Nix is able to take another step, maybe joins that second tier, I think Chiefs and Bills, it feels like they're kind of on their own. Could the Broncos be up there with the Chargers and the Texans and the Ravens of those teams who are trying to get past those top 2 in the Bills and Chiefs?
I mean, the Broncos don't excite me on paper, but then I look at who their head coach is. Don't doubt Sean Payton. Sean Payton, I didn't think was going to be a success for the Broncos when they originally got him in the trade with the Saints, which was still one of the weirdest moments that's ever happened. Anyways, nothing really excites me about them. Like, I think Bo Nix is all right. He's not special.
Their defense is really good.
Their defense is good. Patrick Surtain is special. But, like, on the offensive side, I look at, Bo Nix. He's throwing the ball to Troy Franklin, who they just drafted out of Oregon, who may or may not be good.
Cortland Sutton,
who's serviceable, but it seems like he's always hurt every year. Who's their running back now?
Hampton. They just drafted him in the first round. But they do have, that's the Chargers. RJ Harvey. They drafted in the second round.
Okay.
They do have J.K. Dobbins there too.
Yeah, they just don't get me excited.
Yeah, the wide receiver room it leaves a little bit to be desired. Like Sutton is a fine,
he's just
low end wide receiver 1. Marvin Mims, Devon Vele. I had no idea who that person was until I just read their name.
And Marvin Mims is a special teams guy. So he doesn't really, he's had a couple good games every now and again, but he's primarily a special teams guy.
Parker, do you know who Devon Vele is? Vele?
I've heard the name, but
we're gonna use the Jared Stillman rule here on his program. If I haven't heard of you, you suck. And I don't know who that guy is. Troy Franklin, Trent Sherfield. That's their wide receiver room. Not inspiring.
If you were to ask me right now who I would pick to finish last in the AFC West, I think it'd be the Denver Broncos.
I don't know about that.
I like the Broncos, but I do think this division is going to be really good.
I think it's going to be so much better. I think it's going to be competitive top to bottom. I really do.
I think the Broncos, I would kind of put them in the same area as the Raiders of maybe a little better. Broncos are the 8th best team in the AFC. Raiders might be the 9th.
If you think about it, this may be the best head coach division.
Yeah, Jared from Spring Hill just put that.
Look at how many times are we going to do that? I just say something and someone texted it.
Yeah, Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll, Sean Payton. Jim has not won a Super Bowl, but he's been to one. Andy Reid now has 3. Carroll has 1.
And a national championship.
And Sean Payton has 1 too. Crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder when's the last time there were 4 coaches who have been to a Super Bowl in the same division. Maybe I'm forgetting one that's obvious, but I don't think so.
That is a good point.
4 coaches who've been to the Super Bowl, all coaching in the same division. And Jared from Spring Hill adds, all of these teams with lesser talent can beat the Titans by out-scheming our dumb coach. I think it's too early to call Brian Callahan dumb, but I do agree that you would have the coaching disadvantage in those games. Dustin from Hopkinsville says, dude, Bo Nix is going to be a stud. He's got it, the it factor. Sean Payton's going to get that team in order and winning. Fair. I'm more in believe it when I see it mode with the Broncos. I think the defense is really good, and they're going to keep them in games. I don't know if Bo Nix is going to ever be much better than he was last year. Like,
I think he's like a Baker Mayfield. Like Tampa Baker
that's fair.
Mayfield.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's a serviceable guy, and he's in that mid-tier of good starting franchise quarterbacks. Like, I think you can build a team around him and be successful, but he's like a Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff,
right,
Kirk Cousins.
He's
kind of
so
guy
experienced too that it's like, I don't know how much more developing there is to do with Bo Nix, but we'll see. Again, I'm in a wait and see mode. Bo Nix could totally prove us all wrong and end up putting up MVP numbers this year.
But he's such a Sean Payton guy. Like, Sean Payton wants a point guard at quarterback.
Right.
That's what Drew Brees was.
If he can be Drew Brees, that's
Payton, great value.
Yes, that is phenomenal.
Not saying that's going to happen, but
Yes. 615-737-1025. Nevada Josh, we've been waiting for his thoughts on our Raiders projections. He says, good take, I can dig it, except they're winning at least 9 games. Everyone is going to be sad when they see how much the Chiefs dropped this year.
Definitely not a homer take at all.
Especially them Swifties. I don't know. Dustin from Hopkinsville says, would we take Bo Nix right now for the Titans? I would. See, there was a trade that was thrown out there of the Titans trading the number 1 pick for Bo Nix last year. And
that doesn't get me
sorry.
excited.
I would, in terms of ceiling and potential, I would take Cam Ward over Bo Nix.
Agreed.
I think we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah.
In terms of upside, right now
to win 1 game, and we'll see it in week 1, it's Bo Nix versus Cam Ward. I would take the Broncos. And honestly, I'd probably take Bo Nix for week 1. But in terms of 5 years down the road, I think I want Cam Ward.
I agree.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. You can text or call our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Previewing the AFC and NFC West today. When we come back, we'll look at the Kansas City Chiefs, the 9-time defending AFC West champions, and probably their biggest challenger in the Los Angeles Chargers. That's up next. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, in for Jared Stillman today. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly, in for Jared Stillman today. Again, Jared will be back on Friday. We are moving into the back half of our NFL preview. Yesterday, we did the AFC East, NFC East. We did the North divisions on Monday. Tomorrow, we'll hit the South. We're looking at the AFC West right now. Already took a little bit of a look at the Raiders and the Broncos and what they could bring this year. Kind of left with similar feelings for both teams, although I think it's different. One as a young quarterback, one as a veteran, but similar outcomes.
Yeah.
Chargers and Chiefs. These are the two teams that I think have a good chance to compete for the division and maybe have a chance to compete to, obviously with the Chiefs every year, they have a chance to be in the Super Bowl. But right. I think the Chargers are good enough this year to possibly make a run, maybe not to the Super Bowl, but sneaky AFC championship team, possibly.
The Chargers?
Yeah.
Yes. I love what the Chargers are doing on offense. Like you said, they're kind of building around Justin Herbert, which the thing with Justin Herbert, do you think quarterback or wins are a quarterback stat? Because I don't.
No, not 100%, but if you don't win as a quarterback, you're not going to stick around very long.
I mean, from like a baseball stat, like wins are a pitcher stat.
But I think just as wins are a pitcher stat, wins can be a quarterback stat too. Like it's not 100% on you. Like look at Paul Skeens.
Right.
Paul Skeens has a 2 ERA, but he's 4-8 on the season.
Yeah.
So you can look at the underlying stats and say, okay, yeah, he's 4-8, but it's not all his fault. I think you can do the same thing at quarterback, but eventually you have to win if you're going to be a good quarterback in this league.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying with like Justin Herbert, that Herbert is that there hasn't been enough around him, even though he's probably in the same talent tier as a lot of these top guys. The one question I do have with Herbert is he's been in the playoffs twice now, and it does not look good.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. Do you blame the playoff losses that they've had on Justin Herbert?
I actually do. And I was a huge Justin Herbert fan when he came out of Oregon, because that first playoff game against the Jags, what was the lead that they blew? Was it 28-0?
27
like that?
That was a lot of Staley stuff too, though.
He kind of pooped the bed against the Texans too, throwing 3 interceptions.
And that was a game that I think universally everyone thought the Chargers were going to win, even though it was in Houston. I think everybody was kind of like, all right, the Texans are the token AFC South team that had to get in. They're going to get blown out week 1 in the wild card weekend. And it was the complete opposite. I don't blame Herbert completely, but I think this is the year. If Herbert wants to prove that he belongs in those conversations with Mahomes and Allen and Burrow and Jackson, he's got to, I think you have to at least get to the divisional round. I'd like to see him in the AFC Championship game if he wants to be in that tier.
I mean, how fun would a Chiefs-Chargers AFC Championship game be?
Yeah.
They've seemed to be good matchups over the last couple of years.
They're always good matchups.
They are, but please let that game be in Arrowhead. As much as I hate that every AFC Championship game is in Arrowhead basically for the last 7 years, the SoFi Stadium would be a horrible atmosphere for that AFC Championship
Feels like a
game.
neutral site.
It would either feel like a neutral site, or it would feel like a Chiefs game, or it would not be completely full because there are just no Chargers fans.
Well, they have that one lady.
Yeah, they do. They have the one lady. What's her name?
I don't know. She shows up everywhere.
Yeah, on all the Monday Night Football broadcasts. But, I mean, look back at the when the Rams hosted the 49ers in the NFC Championship game a couple years ago.
It was a Niners home game.
They tried to stop Niners fans from getting tickets, and it still looked like a Niners home game. And that's the Rams, who I think the Rams have more of a following in LA than the Chargers do.
Yeah, but both teams are also in California. So
right. They don't care all that much. So
because they're weird.
I'm not saying I think the Chargers are going to be in the AFC Championship game, but I think that has to be the goal for them this year. Because being a one and done in the playoffs team, it's not why you bring in Jim Harbaugh. And they've invested in that offensive line to keep Justin Herbert upright. They've got the wide receivers for him now. They've got to at least win one playoff game. And I think they probably have to win 2 to prove that they are in the AFC elite, which I don't know if I put them in there right now.
Can I give you a bold hot take?
Go ahead.
The LA Chargers offense will be top 3 in scoring this upcoming season.
Yeah. I kind of like it.
Top 3. I'm not ready to say number 1 because the Bengals are going to be great. The Eagles are going to be good. But they're a young, fun offense. I mean, Ladd McConkey, Trey Harris.
Yeah.
Amarian Hampton is going to be a machine. Najee Harris, we'll see. But Justin Herbert, obviously, they're going to be fun. I think this is going to be a fun team to watch.
I'm a fan of that. And I think if anybody has a chance to knock the Chiefs off the AFC West throne, the Chargers would be that team.
Mike Williams is back.
He is.
With the Chargers.
Mike Williams is back. And Quentin Johnston, for how bad as he was with all the drops, he did show some promise last year. Like it got a little bit better.
When he doesn't have to be the number 1 wide receiver, sure,
right.
It helps.
So we'll see. Maybe he can step up. On to the Chiefs. 9 straight AFC West championships. They've been in the AFC championship every year since Mahomes became the starter. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. They only lost it once, and that was to the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excuse me. Twice. They lost on the D Ford as offsides against Tom Brady. So the only AFC quarterbacks who have beaten Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. Do we think that this Chiefs team is good enough to get back to the Super Bowl for a 4th straight year? Or is this the year we finally see it dip a little bit and maybe they have to do what the Patriots dynasties did of, all right, we had 5 years where we were the best team in football. Then you maybe have 1 or 2 where you take a dip, where you lose to Mark Sanchez in the playoffs. Or do we think the Chiefs just, don't bet against Mahomes? He's going to the Super Bowl.
I'd like to say they're going to take a dip, but look at their quarterback. I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes because he creates offense even with lesser talent. Look at the receivers he's had in the past few years. A couple years ago, his best receiver was Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
Now, Rashee Rice is a good player.
He's
He's fine. Now he's got Xavier Worthy, who I think is going to be a star in that offense. But he's a point guard. He makes things happen. And I just can't bet against him.
It's like Brady, where every year you hope.
It's just like Brady.
You really think you're like, maybe this is the year they finally have a down year and Mahomes looks mortal in the playoffs. And every year they find a way to win.
Well, Brady's kind of similar too, in that if you were to take Danny Amendola or Julian Edelman and put them on any other team, we saw it with Danny Amendola. He fell off, but Brady would just create offense with those guys. Mahomes is the same. And that's funny because they're completely different play styles of quarterback.
Right. But it is the same thing of they are inevitable. And it feels like every year when you think about picking against them, they always find a way. So that's kind of where I am with the Chiefs. Until somebody stops them, I can't think that they're not going to just go back to the Super Bowl again.
And they had a rotating carousel at left tackle last year.
Yeah.
But that didn't seem to matter. They move a left guard out to left tackle, and they still get to the Super Bowl.
It's tough. The AFC, just when one giant finally leaves, another one takes its place.
And I think Matt Nagy is a fantastic offensive coordinator. He's another one of those guys that's maybe not a great
not a good head coach, good
great
coordinator. I always love the exercise of how many AFC quarterbacks have represented the AFC in the Super Bowl since like 2003. And it's like 6, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Manning, Roethlisberger, Brady, Flacco, Burrow, Mahomes. Is that it?
Yeah.
Seems about right off the top of my head.
I'm trying to think.
Brady, Manning, Mahomes.
Brady, Manning, Mahomes, Roethlisberger, Burrow, Flacco. Is that it? Since, I guess, would it have been like 2003 when the Raiders went, or whenever that was?
Yeah, was it David Carr who started for the Raiders?
It was Rich Gannon.
Rich Gannon.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that is it. There have been 6 quarterbacks to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl in the last 20 years.
Still one of the funniest graphics of all time.
Think of how many NFC quarterbacks have done it. I mean,
that's what I'm getting at. The funniest graphic of all time is the 2017 playoffs, where it's Brady, Bortles, Case Keenum, and Nick Foles.
Yep. And Nick Foles won that Super Bowl.
And he did.
Yeah, Nick Foles has started a Super Bowl in the NFC. Colin Kaepernick has started a Super Bowl in the NFC.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy.
Jared Goff
Has started. Yeah, he started one. I mean, I bet in the last 20 years, there's probably
Matt Stafford,
15 or 16 quarterbacks in the NFC who've started. The only ones who've done multiple, Russell Wilson, Eli Manning,
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts has started too. And I think that's probably it. So, I mean, that's just the way the AFC has been. The AFC gets all the elite quarterbacks and the NFC doesn't. Maybe that's starting to flip.
Better, pal.
Maybe it's starting to flip with, Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels went there last year. 615-737-1025. That's our preview of the AFC West. We're going to go to the NFC West now, which I don't think it's one of the better divisions in football. It's probably one of the worst divisions in football, but it's one of those where I don't feel good picking any of the teams to win it right now. We'll talk about it more coming up next. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt filling in for Jared Stillman today. Stillman & Company, 1025-1063 The Game. This fall, live at the Pinnacle at Nashville Yards, Tim McGraw will perform at Trinitix's Rock the Cradle. This event is sure to be a great time celebrating a great cause. Proceeds from the event will support newborns and moms at Ascension St. Thomas Midtown. Get your tickets now at rockthecradlenashville.org. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly in today for Jared Stillman. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Continuing our week-long preview of the NFL. We just looked at the AFC West. Let's talk NFC West. Last year, the Rams winning the division. And when you look on paper, I think the Rams have a decent chance to win this division again. But the 49ers should be better. The other two teams are big question marks to me.
Yeah.
Because I like Sam Darnold, and I think the Seahawks will be okay. And I like Kyler Murray. I like
Nick Frazier rejoiced.
Nick Frazier just cheered listening. He's the biggest Kyler Murray fan I know. When Jared was going through, like, if Cam Ward is Kyler Murray, are you okay with that? Nick Frazier was like, sign me up. I want Kyler Murray.
He'd be first in line.
Let's start with the Cardinals then. I like Kyler Murray. I like Trey McBride. I think James Conner is really underrated. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have really good second year. It feels like the team is just meh to me.
Like, I don't know much about him, to be honest with you.
Right. I don't know a ton about their defense.
Right.
Buda Baker's still there, right?
Think so.
And he's a really good player.
Think so. I mean, I can tell you their offense. I love Marvin Harrison. I love Trey McBride. I think he's a top 5 tight end in the league. Kyler Murray is Kyler Murray. He's kind of serviceable. He can break out outside of the pocket, scramble for a few yards every once in a while, but he is kind of what he is. But I just think the Cardinals are going to be like they're
going to be a team that's not bad enough to get a high pick, but not good enough to.
They'll be a 6-win team, but like not in the good way, you know?
Yeah.
I can tell you what they love to do. They love to run the ball out of multiple tight end personnel, whether that be 12, 13. That's kind of their go-to with their offensive coordinator. And I thought they had a really good draft too. Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, Jordan Birch out of Oregon, Cody Simon, linebacker, Ohio State, Denzel Burke, a corner from Ohio State. I thought the draft was pretty good.
And mostly defense there. And, Will Johnson, that's a guy, they ended his slide. I know there were medical questions with him, but that's a value pick of a guy who was pretty much a consensus top 10 pick.
Yeah. And he's so versatile too. If he can stay healthy.
Right. It's the Caleb Farley question of like, you're getting a top 10 player, but are the medical concerns actually real?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the Cardinals are going to be fine. And Kyler Murray, talent-wise, he's good enough to get this team to the playoffs. I just don't know if everything around them is going to allow them to get there. The Cardinals, I think, are one of the biggest mysteries to me. And maybe that's because I heard the midday show, I think this was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, they were talking about who is the most forgettable team in the NFL. The Cardinals kind of fall in that category. Of
pretty much all Phoenix teams do to me. Maybe not for you, because I know you like the Suns.
I followed the Suns, but yeah, I guess you could say like the Diamondbacks too.
Yeah.
And it
used to be the Coyotes.
They're not there anymore, but the Coyotes. Yeah, that's fair. I think the Cardinals will be fine this year, but I don't see them contending for this division. The Seahawks, I don't really know what the Seahawks are doing. It kind of felt like they were ready for a rebuild, but then you go sign Sam Darnold, which makes you think that they're trying to at least be decent this year. Like Geno Smith for Sam Darnold feels like
kind of a swap.
Right. It's like somebody said swap and spit was Floyd Reese. I know it wasn't a trade, but
Jared's going to hate you. Sam Darnold's the greatest quarterback ever.
I like Sam Darnold, and I think Sam Darnold is good enough to do exactly what he did last year.
Yeah.
Which is get you to the playoffs and lose.
I don't think he's a guy that can elevate you over that. Like, he doesn't have any just superstar X factor abilities that, see what I did there as a bad
Yeah,
thing.
there you go.
He doesn't have any of those abilities that can just lift you over the hump. I think he's capable of getting you. He's like a Ryan Tannehill to me.
Yeah, I agree. He's Ryan Tannehill.
He's capable of getting you there and making good plays when you need him. But, when you get to the big show, he's not going to come through for you.
You know who I absolutely love on the Seahawks, though?
Cooper Kupp.
I do like Cooper Kupp, but no, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Oh yeah.
That is my guy, JSN. And I like Peter Skoronski. I did not freak out like Jared did when a guard at 11.
Oh,
but
no.
I wanted Jackson Smith and Jigba so bad in that draft, and they passed on him. I think he's going to have a massive year.
I do like Tariq Woolen on the other side too.
And Devin Witherspoon.
Yes.
Fun fact, Devin Witherspoon got absolutely torched by Traylon Burks during joint practices last year. I was standing right there, and it was Traylon Burks was running a post. Absolutely dusted Devin Witherspoon.
I remember that was peak of the Traylon Burks hype train for last year, at least. I love JSN. That Rose Bowl game he had, was that against Utah? I remember watching that game and saying that dude is going to be a superstar in the NFL, and I hope the Titans take him in whatever draft he comes out. I like Peter Skoronski. I would much rather have Jackson Smith and Jigba right now.
Well, Ohio State's a wide receiver factory. So
I know. And Jeremiah Smith, when he comes out, you might see him go
top 3.
He might be the first receiver since Keyshawn to go number 1.
And guess who the offensive coordinator is for the Seahawks?
Who is it?
Clint Kubiak, who comes from the Kevin O'Connell type tree. So runs a similar offense to what Darnold ran in Minnesota. So if he's able to kind of incorporate some of those same concepts that worked for Darnold in Minnesota, this could work out. And Cooper Kupp, safety blanket receiver. Yeah. So this does have a chance of working.
The Seahawks, I mean, I'll put them kind of in the Broncos tier for me. I think they're going to be a borderline playoff team. I don't know if they're going to go much further than that, but I don't hate that roster. It just feels like they don't have a whole lot of an idea of what they want to do long term.
Yeah.
Like, I think this year they want to be competitive, but long term they're going to need to find a quarterback.
They're like the Steelers. Like, you thought they were going to blow it up, and then they make these weird moves.
Right.
And
not that Sam Howell is ever going to be like a top 15 quarterback in the NFL, but I didn't understand why they traded Sam Howell.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a guy who could learn behind a Sam Darnold, because what Sam Howell does, he's got all the talent. It's just about being an NFL quarterback. I feel like he could learn a lot from Sam Darnold, but
I can't get on the same page as Jared. As Sam Darnold is a franchise guy. I think he's just a kind of a bridge guy.
Yeah, I mean, I might evaporate for saying this on this show, but I was firmly against signing Sam Darnold. I think that was the absolute worst decision that the Titans could have made this offseason.
They were clearly firmly against it too. So it worked out.
So it did work out, but and I understand you sign Sam Darnold, you can trade the first overall pick, but I don't think you trade the opportunity to get a franchise quarterback. Sam Darnold is not a franchise quarterback. He's just another Band-Aid, which the Titans don't need. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Our phone line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. This evening, come out to Brewhouse South in Cool Springs and meet Nashville native and two-time IndyCar champion Joseph Newgarden from 5:30 to 7. Big Joe will be on site for a special broadcast of Chasing Checkers right after us from 6 to 7. So get out to Brewhouse South today and meet Joseph Newgarden and get signed up to win tickets to the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix. We'll look at who I think are the two contenders in the NFC West. 49ers, Rams, to wrap up day 3 of our NFL preview right after this. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt filling in for Jared Stillman today. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday. Again, Jared will be back on Friday. You got us for the rest of the day and tomorrow. And we will finish our NFL preview tomorrow afternoon from 3 to 4, wrapping up with the AFC and NFC South, including our thoughts on what the Titans will end up doing in the 2025 NFL season. But first, let's finish up the NFC West. 49ers and Rams, the two teams we haven't looked at yet. Let's start with the Niners. And it's funny, on NFL Live, they're doing the same thing right now. They went 6-11 last season, dead last in the NFC West, which kind of shocking considering how good they had been over the last 5 to 10 years of just consistently being one of the top teams in the NFC. I do think there's going to be a bounce back for this Niners team this year. If Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy.
If all of them can stay healthy.
Well, right. I guess that is a big thing.
That was their main problem.
But there's so many talented players on this roster. McCaffrey, Kittle. Brandon Ayuk had a down year last year, but I think he's still super talented. I think the Deebo Samuel trade was addition by subtraction.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like towards the end, not only was he not bringing much on the field, I don't know if he was bringing much in the locker room either.
Yeah.
Trent Williams, still a dominant force at left tackle. Fred,
at the ripe age of 65.
Right. He is getting up there in age, but, he's still a monster.
Yeah.
And Fred Warner, probably the best linebacker in football still, arguably.
Yeah.
You lose Talanoa Hufanga, who I think is a really good safety. But overall, I think this Niners team definitely has the pieces in place that they can compete for a division title this year.
I think so too. But I do think looking at the way the roster was a few years ago and looking at it now and how much cap problems they're going to have here shortly. That's right. I said cap on this show. Like it's a real thing.
We're breaking all the rules on this show.
It's a real thing. I think their window is closing as far as a Super Bowl title. Now, I think they can come in and compete for the division and possibly even win it. But I don't know. I feel like this is kind of the end of the road for the Niners.
You know
the window's
why?
Closing.
Because you take away Trent Williams and look at that offensive line. Without him, it's terrible. The cupboard is bare on that offensive line without Trent Williams.
You just paid Brock Purdy a boatload of money, which means you're committing to him as the quarterback. That much money you can't allocate for other positional needs that are going to come up soon.
The health of Christian McCaffrey.
Right.
Your
wide receiver room's a little bare. I mean, you have Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall.
Juwan Jennings.
And Juwan
Can't
Jennings.
forget about
Juwan Jennings.
It was
the
inevitable.
VFL, Juwan Jennings.
I tend to forget VFLs. Anyways, you got to allocate for some of these positional needs you're going to need in the future. And I just think with the investments they've made and Fred Warner and Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk, the guys they've paid with Christian McCaffrey, they're not going to have the money to allocate for some of these empty roster spots here shortly. So.
Yeah. I mean, when you had the cheapest possible rookie contract available as your starting quarterback, that allowed you to, you had the best linebacker, maybe the best tight end, the best running back, all in the league, and you could pay all those guys, the best left tackle, and you could pay all those guys. That gravy train's about to run out. You're gonna have to make some tough decisions. I thought George Kittle could have been on the move. I've said this before. I thought Kittle might have been the first to go, and I thought he might come here just because of the ties. I mean, he lives here. But
it's not out of the ordinary to think that.
But they've been able to keep the band together for at least one more year. I think you're right. I think the window is closing for this 49ers team. If they want to make one last run, they need some luck. They need to stay healthy. But this is probably it if they're going to go and try and win a Super Bowl with this core as it's constructed right now.
Yeah. And I kind of feel the same way about the Rams.
They're running out of time too.
On a different level. You have an old quarterback in Matt Stafford. Devontae Adams is no longer the best wide receiver in the league, in my opinion. He's kind of, I don't want to say he's just a guy because he's still a dominant talent and he can take over games like that. But he's not the Devontae Adams of old that we saw in MVP Aaron Rodgers just diming to all the time. He can't take over a game like he can.
This is the definition of a window team.
Yeah. No, like this definition. Is it. I like Kyron Williams.
I like Puka Nacua.
I was about to say, am I the only one who's not a huge fan of Puka Nacua?
He's all right.
I just don't think he's overrated. I think he had a really good rookie season, but I I don't watch him and say, man, that guy's unstoppable.
Well, he was hurt last year too.
I understand that too.
You better watch him while you can. He's going to retire at the
old
age of 30.
Yeah, he said he's done at 30. And I could be wrong. He could go out there and put up an all-pro season. I'll eat crow. But I'm just not a huge Puka Nacua guy. But I think the Rams, that defense is good. Jared Verse he's
insane.
He is the next great pass rusher waiting to happen, I think. And we'll see if I think that those are the two teams that are going to compete for that division. If the 49ers can stay healthy, I'd like their team a little bit better.
Yeah.
But the Rams could also find themselves in the NFC West Championship again. And, if they can make a run in the playoffs, the NFC, as I always say, is wide open because there isn't a dominant quarterback. So if you get hot at the right time with a good roster and you stay healthy, you can go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC.
I'm always down on the Rams for that reason. Ever since they won the Super Bowl, I thought, okay, this team's aging. They don't have a lot of money to allocate for, kind of like the 49ers. And then they always kind of impress me somehow.
Yeah.
Like,
is it McVay?
Has to be.
Has to be.
Well, I mean, they're the kings of drafting. Think about how many years they went without a first-round pick.
Yeah.
And all these guys on the defense, all these guys on the – look at this defensive line: Braden Fisk, Colby Turner, Byron Young, and Jared Verse.
Yeah, that's nasty.
And they're all like young.
Yeah.
Their entire defense is young.
And Verse is the only first-round pick out of those four. Like the other guys, they just found in the mid-rounds and turned them into really good football players.
And they were the only team that challenged the Eagles.
That is true. Yeah, they got them down to they made them work for it at the very least. Jack on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, asked, do you think the shine is faded on Shanahan and his system? I don't know about that because I think Shanahan and McVay, their systems, their play calling, they're the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kevin O'Connell could be in that conversation too.
Sean McDermott.
Well, McDermott's not an offensive head coach.
That's true.
But I do think because everybody's doing it now, like look around the league, most of the play callers come from that tree,
that system.
Like,
isn't that weird?
You look at that Commanders coaching staff, the Washington staff that had Shanahan, McVay,
McDaniels,
LaFleur, McDaniel, like it had all of them. And it feels like everybody who is a play caller in the NFL runs some variation of that system now. So I don't know if the shine has faded. I think it's just so much more common now that it's not as unique to see the concepts and the play calling that Shanahan does. I still think Shanahan's play calling is
elite.
Some of the stuff that he sets up is just awesome. So I would say no. I think it's just more commonplace to see that system these days. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to text or call. That'll wrap it up for the West. Went through the AFC West, the NFC West, two intriguing divisions. Tomorrow we get to the South. The AFC South, the NFC South. Can the Titans contend in that division? It's not one of the stronger ones. And then the NFC South, some young teams with a lot to like, team that's not very good, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we'll talk about that all tomorrow from 3 to 4 as we wrap up our week on the program tomorrow. Again, Jared will be back on Friday. Coming up next, Bleacher Report released their Mount Rushmore of Titans players. Do we think they got it right? And who would we put on our Mount Rushmore of Titans players? And again, this is only since they moved to Tennessee. We will talk about that coming up in hour number 3 here on the show. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly in today here on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3. The Game, presented by Southern Bank of Tennessee, your bank for small business. Hour number 3 on this Wednesday. Jake Lyman and Connor Nude filling in for Jared Stillman today, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Just wrapped up our third of 4 days previewing the NFL. Tomorrow, we will get into the AFC and NFC South, including our thoughts on the Titans. Speaking of the Titans, Bleacher Report put out their Mount Rushmore for the Titans. There are 4 players since the franchise moved to Tennessee, by the way. So this doesn't include the Oilers days.
Right.
Which I think Earl Campbell obviously would be big on there. And I know Chris Sanders said Bruce Matthews. Bruce played a little bit for the Titans, right?
He was a Titan.
Yeah, he played for the Titans.
I don't know if I'd include him, though.
Really?
Do we say a majority of your career has to be spent in Tennessee?
That's fair.
Let me give you who Bleacher Report said, because I thought this was really interesting. Not the 4 I would have picked, and maybe it's just because Bleacher Report is ill-informed on the Titans. So they have Steve McNair on there. That one I don't have much problem.
Yeah, no, he would be on mine.
Derrick Henry,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Johnson.
Well, yeah, I think I would put him.
Chris Johnson, I think, deserves to be in there in contention. And Jarrell Casey.
I don't even know if I would put him as the best defensive player in Titans history.
Right.
Like, you could argue Javon Curse.
I mean, yeah, those like
Kevin Byard.
I mean, you could even look back. Jarrell Casey was great for this team.
Sure. I love Jarrell
Don't
Casey.
want to. I'm not trying to rip on Jarrell at all. But I agree. When you look at Titans defensive linemen since they've been here, I don't know if he would even be number 1.
Would you put him over Jeffrey Simmons?
As of right now, you probably have to.
I don't know, though. Like, Casey was a good player on really bad Titans teams.
Yeah.
For the most part of his career. He was part of that 2019 run to the AFC Championship, and then they traded him away for a 7th-round pick.
And that resulted in a very good outcome because he played 1 game for the Broncos.
Right. And he did have he had the sack fumble against Lamar Jackson. That was a huge moment in that game that kind of sealed it, I felt like. That was the moment where the Titans really it was like, all right, the Ravens could still come back. And then when Casey got him, ball comes out, Titans recover. I felt like it was over at that point. Texter brings up a guy that I was just thinking of. 2394 says Keith Bullock. I
would argue Keith Bullock is the best linebacker in Titans history.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on that. I think he would deserve to be part of this. Andrew says his 4. Man, interesting pick at the end here. So he goes Steve, Eddie, Derek. Those are fine. Pac-Man Jones.
Interesting.
If you're going to go secondary.
If you're going to go
Kevin
special
Byard.
teams. Special teams, I'd put Pac-Man on there.
Yeah.
As a returner.
If you're going to go secondary, Kevin Byard, Michael Griffin.
Yeah.
Could be in those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Craig says you got to put my boy all-time favorite Titan Blaine Bishop on there. I think Blaine
I
would
like Blaine.
if you're going to go secondary, Blaine Bishop should definitely be in that conversation. Gunner says I would take Vanden Bosch over Casey. I think so too.
Yes.
I think
so too.
Vanden Bosch was late 2000s, so he was on the line with Hainsworth and blanking on who was on the other side.
Not Curse. Curse was gone.
Text line, help us out.
Help us out. We're young.
But yeah, Bullock was on that team.
We're teenagers, guys.
Stephen Tulloch was on that team too.
Yeah.
Michael Griffin. Andrew, more seriously, goes Steve, Derek, Rob Baronis, Keith Bullock.
That's kind of a deep cut right there.
I think that's a decent 4 right there.
Yeah.
But
you cover all your bases, man.
You do run into the issue of, if you're going through this exercise, the running backs, I think, are the hardest to decide, because there are 3 that all could be on there.
You know what I would do if we're making our own You limit one. You get one running back.
One running back.
You got to pick between the three.
Okay. Yeah, that makes it easier, I think, because, but it makes it harder because I guess you have to leave two of them off.
Do you want to hear mine? I would go Will Levis, Wesley Woodyard,
Instantly lost credibility.
Avery Williamson, and Bud Dupree.
Wow.
For no reason.
What's that hat you got on right now?
Oh, this is the
just some blue hat.
This is my South Carolina Gamecocks hat, everyone.
I would go Vincent Fuller, Caleb Farley, Joey Sly, and then I'll leave the last one blank.
Whoever wants it. Mason
Kinsey. No, fine. You know what? I'm wearing the Vandy stuff today too. We'll go Zach Cunningham.
There you go.
Throw a Commodore in there.
Realistically.
No, let's give ours in the next segment.
Okay.
But let's set the rules here. Are we saying one running back? Because I think the running backs make this difficult because all three of them could be considered a top 4 player in franchise since they moved to Tennessee.
If we don't, I would put all 3 of them on there.
Yeah.
I think if we don't, mine would be Steve and then all 3 running backs.
I think the easy choice if you're going to leave somebody off, and I hate to say it because he was my favorite player growing up, is Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
Like, I love Chris Johnson.
That's me with Derrick Henry.
If you're looking at peak, I'm going to go hot take again here. I think peak Chris Johnson was better than peak Derrick Henry.
Whoa.
Woo!
That's
piping hot, Jake Lyman. Piping hot.
He had 2,500 yards from scrimmage in one season.
I don't completely disagree with you because I think they're 2 completely different players.
I also do think Derrick Henry contributed to winning more than Chris Johnson did. Derrick Henry was better built to win football games because he wore the defense down. But in terms of that 2009 season, he had 2,500 yards from scrimmage. That has never been done.
That's
by
why he's
anybody
on the
else.
list because he is one of 8 or one of 9 2,000-yard rushers in NFL history. So I feel like that
and
alone
Henry
has to
is
put him on the list.
Okay, so rank the 3 running backs.
In terms of overall career with the Titans.
Yes.
Henry, George, Johnson.
Okay.
That's what I would do too.
I think I would do that. You could argue Eddie and Derrick are interchangeable.
Yeah.
Because Eddie had such an impact.
Right. Eddie, I think it's a much closer gap between Henry and George than is George and Johnson. Because
Nevada Josh makes a good point. Offensive Mount Rushmore and defensive Mount Rushmore.
Maybe that makes it easier.
I think we should do that.
Okay, we can do that. But if we do offensive, are we saying all the running backs can be on there?
No.
Oh, only one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're making, just as we always do, we make up the rules as we go along.
We'll make it overcomplicated because we can't.
No, I do think with the running backs, it's Henry, George, Johnson, just because CJ's lifespan was so short.
But he had such a good offensive line.
He was only really here from 08 to
once they gave him
13.
Once they gave him that massive deal to come back, it was over.
Yeah.
I think that's when his career started going down, and then he left for the Jets, and we never really heard from him again.
Coy in Clarksville says, give Derrick Henry CJ2K's line and he rushes for 3,000 yards. We forget,
Derrick Henry had a great line.
That 2,000-yard season for Derrick Henry, his offensive line was pretty good. That was Lewan, Saffold, Jones, Davis, and I guess it was Kelly.
Was it Dennis Kelly?
Or was Conklin still there?
No, Conklin had left because this was 20.
Yeah, this was after Conklin.
Yeah, Conklin is.
Yeah, you're right. Conklin was gone.
Yeah, so it was Dennis Kelly, I think.
Or was it Quessenberry?
It was it was Quessenberry. It was Quessenberry.
Okay. I agree though. CJ did get help from very good offensive lines, but his 2009 season. Man, there are a lot of good running back seasons. I think it's the best running back season of all time.
Obviously, here's the thing though. Our opinion is going to be so different from some other people's because we didn't.
Right.
We don't have the Titans from day one.
Right. I did not. I think the first season I really followed was 06. So I do miss out on a lot of that, but obviously I know the impact that McNair and Eddie and D Mace and all those guys had. So I hold that in the back of my mind, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We're going to get called young We're going to date ourselves with this. So
Yeah,
we'll do
we
that
are.
coming up next. We're going to do an offensive Mount Rushmore and a defensive Mount Rushmore for the Titans. Probably going to get a lot of hate on this.
Oh, yeah, we are. But it's okay.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tune in tonight on ESPN 94.9 The Fan as the Nashville Sounds take on Durham. Pregame begins at 5:20 and the first pitch is at 5:35. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Sounds Baseball on ESPN 94.9 The Fan is presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you today. Let's give away some tickets here before we get back into our Mount Rushmore conversation. Be caller number 4 at 615-737-1025, and you'll win a pair of tickets to see Nelly with Ja Rule and special guests at Ascend Amphitheater on Tuesday, September 16th. That's caller number 4 to see Nelly on September 16th at 615-737-1025. All right, we're having the conversation. Titans all-time Mount Rushmore. And Bleacher Report, again, I think a misinformed Mount Rushmore of McNair was fine. Derrick Henry's fine. Chris Johnson, I understand. Jarrell Casey, as good as Jarrell Casey is, I just there
are better options.
Right. There were better options out there. So we went into the break saying we're going to do offense and defense. We're going to stick with just one because we don't need that. That's the exercise here is try and pick 4. We need to make it difficult for ourselves.
Yes.
So one running back is allowed. Who are your 4, Connor Newton?
Okay. I'm going to go McNair at quarterback.
Yep.
I'm going to go Derrick Henry at running back.
Mm-hmm.
I will go Frank Wycheck at tight end. And I will go Javon Curse on the defensive side.
Okay. I like that.
Now, it was hard for me because I wanted to put D-Mace on there. He's in the mix. I love me some D-Mace. I love Kevin Byard. Wanted to put him on there. He didn't quite make it. Crazy Uncle Chris, I would put on there. just so he didn't get mad at me. I love Uncle Chris.
Who did Chris go with again? He went with...
He said McNair.
He said, he had Bruce Matthews on there too.
Yeah, Bruce. McNair. Did he say Frank? Eddie. Did he say Frank? Or was it Keith?
I forget who his last one was. We should have written these down.
Yeah, we should have.
Okay, so you're going with McNair, George,
Derek.
Derek. McNair, Henry, Wycheck, and Curse.
That's 3 old guys.
I'm going to go. Steve McNair, I think, is the easy one.
He's locked.
The best quarterback in franchise history has to be on your Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
So Steve McNair is one. I'll agree with you on Henry because we did the exercise. If you're only going to pick one, I think it has to be Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
He ran for 2,000 yards and he was a part of, he was the reason for that run to the AFC Championship game.
Because I love Eddie George so much. He's one of my favorite players ever.
Right. And like Eddie played in the Super Bowl.
I met Eddie when I was little.
Really?
Yeah. My dad, I don't remember this because I was 2, but my dad took me down to we were friends with someone in front office.
Yeah.
So we went to the locker room. I sat in Eddie's locker and met him as he was coming down to the tunnel for warmups, and he gave me a fist bump. I never washed that hand again. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I wish I would have met Eddie now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go down to Bowling Green and see if I can meet him.
There you go. Yeah. It's tight for me, but Derrick Henry, especially we mentioned our implicit bias of being younger and not having been able to watch Eddie George live.
Right.
For me, watching Derrick Henry, it's got to be Derrick. So I've got McNair. I've got Henry. I'm with you there. I will go defense. I'll go Mr. Monday Night. I'll go Keith Bullock as my third choice.
I love Keith so much.
And then it's so tough when you get down to the last one because now it's like you're leaving somebody off.
Yeah, I know.
I think I'm between, I like the Wycheck pick. Somebody we haven't mentioned who I don't think is worthy of a Mount Rushmore, but deserves to be spoken of as one of the greats, Delaney Walker.
Mm-hmm.
He's not in the top 4 conversation, but he's a guy who on a bunch of bad teams, he was a bright spot. Same with Jarrell Casey. I'd put them in the same conversation. I always love Kevin Byard.
Yeah. He's always been one of my favorites. Just because of MTSU and,
I think he deserves a spot.
I think I'm going to go Kevin Byard.
Okay.
Defensive Mount Rushmore? Absolutely.
The mayor of Murfreesboro has made the Mount Rushmore.
I do want to mention the text line has been letting us know that when talking secondary, we're forgetting Samari Roll. He deserves to be in that conversation too. But I'll go with those 4. I'll go McNair, Henry, Bullock, Byard.
I think that's good. You got 2 of each.
Kevin Byard will forever be one of my favorite players in Titans history. When I came here for the draft in 2019, I was visiting and went over and had him sign my jersey. Just one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I love Kevin Byard.
We met him at MTSU a couple years ago when he came to the game for his retirement. his jersey retired.
Yeah.
So number 20 hangs over Floyd Stadium now. Like you said, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Went out of his way to talk to us. Super, super outgoing guy.
Yeah, I'm sure most people would say that is a recency bias pick with Byard because, he had the one All-Pro season, but I love Kevin Byard. He was such a good player for so many years with the Titans. So that's my 4. I'm going McNair, Henry, Bullock, Byard, and Connor is going McNair, Henry, Wycheck, and Javon Curse.
I feel bad for not going 2 of each, but I love Frank so much. He's one of my that's so tough.
I think if you hadn't picked him, I probably would have picked him.
Yeah.
On our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, Joey from Bellevue says the same as me.
There you go.
Steve, Henry, Mr. Monday Night, and KB. And 3464 mentions Cortland Finnegan. Cortland Finnegan, for sure, really good player.
Liked him.
I don't think he's in the conversation for top 4 players in franchise history.
I'm trying to think of corners. Like the ones as of recently you can't.
The Titans, at least in my memory, have never really had Finnegan's probably the closest thing they've had to a lockdown corner.
Safeties have been great. Michael Griffin.
Right. Griffin's was great.
Byard, obviously.
Byard. Amani Hooker's not in that conversation, but
no.
Corner-wise, there's years where they're good player. Like Alteron Werner had that really good year, and he got paid in Tampa Bay. But obviously, he's not one of the all-time greats on this team.
Janoris Jenkins,
Jackrabbit.
I thought about that on the drive home yesterday when we were doing deep cuts.
Jackrabbit Jenkins.
Jackrabbit.
Pac-Man Jones.
That is not a deep cut, but
no, I wasn't trying to be deep.
I kind of forgot
throwing out a name.
I kind of forgot that Janoris Jenkins played for this team.
I know. That's why I was thinking about it.
I mean, there's all kinds of cornerbacks who just came here for a cup of coffee.
What about offensive linemen?
Yeah, we didn't mention a lot of offensive linemen.
I mean, Bruce has to be on there, but if we're excluding him because he was mostly an Oiler.
Michael Roos.
Yeah.
For sure.
Brad Hopkins.
Yeah, Brad Hopkins. Big Country.
Mm-hmm.
David Stewart.
Lawan.
Conklin wasn't here long enough.
Yeah. Lawan.
Lawan deserves to be in that conversation. If Lawan hadn't been hurt,
if he didn't tear
that ACL, I think I wouldn't say he'd still be playing, but I would say he probably was the Titans left tackle for at least a couple extra years.
Because he came back and he was not the same. Like that wasn't the first game he had back. That was the Cardinals game where Chandler Jones had 5 sacks.
Yeah.
Good memory, Connor.
That was rough. That was a tough game. And that was the year the Titans went and were the number 1 seed. So it just shows you week 1 can be a liar.
Every time I think of Chandler Jones, I think of that game, and I think of did you ever see his birthday song to Bill Belichick?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Chandler Jones has had a rough couple of years here.
Kevin Mawe. How can we not mention him?
Oh, yeah.
No one mentioned him yet.
He wasn't known as a Titan. Kevin Mawe, he was, because he came over as a free agent kind of later on in his career.
He came over from the Jets.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
But he had more success other places. He actually, I mean, he was really good with the Titans. It's not like Steve Hutchinson, who came here and was just not great for a year and then left.
Yeah.
Ben Jones deserves to be mentioned for offensive linemen. Coy in Clarksville says the disrespect on All-Pro Brett Kern.
Brett. I forgot about Brett.
Kern and Baronis deserve to be mentioned in this conversation too.
And Suckup.
Yeah, Ryan Suckup, good. Big E, that's a great text. Jason McCourty, never an elite cornerback, but he was the Titans' best cornerback for a while there.
I still don't know which one is Jason and which one
Jason was the corner, Devin was the safety.
Okay.
Devin played for the Patriots for a long time.
Yeah, but like when I see them next to each other, I just don't know which one is which.
Well, yeah, they're twins.
Yeah.
And they're both analysts now.
That's kind of how that works.
Jason McCourty's on ESPN, NFL Live, or is it?
Yeah,
it is.
One of them is on Good Morning Football, or was on Good Morning Football.
And one of them also makes appearances on NBC. Might be Devin.
I think Devin does like Sunday or Football Night in America.
Are they both in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? One of them is. I think Jason's in.
No, neither of them are yet.
No, one of them got inducted a couple years ago, right?
They just retired with it. Devin just retired like 3 or 4 years ago.
One of them did. Who am I thinking?
I don't think no. Jason is definitely not a Hall of Famer. Devin has the Super Bowls, possibly. I would say maybe on Devin.
Where would you put Vandenbosch?
Vandenbosch deserves to be in there too.
I put him with Hainsworth.
The only problem with Hainsworth is his career was not long enough.
I think
he was so good.
Hainsworth is just, he's always going to be remembered for the guy who got $100 million contract and then stopped caring, instead of what he did when he was with the Titans, which was great, but it's just his legacy is tainted. 615-737-1025. Continuing to take your thoughts on who should be on the Titans Mount Rushmore. Bleacher Report says Steve McNair, Derrick Henry, Chris Johnson, and Jarrell Casey. We disagreed. I went with Steve McNair, Derrick Henry, Keith Bullock, Kevin Byard, and Connor going with Steve McNair, Derrick Henry, Frank Wycheck, and Javon Curse. What are your thoughts? 615-737-1025. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This week's Nashville's best deal is Mellow Mushroom. There's no pizza like Mellow Mushroom pizza, stone-baked with fresh ingredients, next-level imagination, and limitless options for customization. It is a higher order of pizza. You know and love Mellow Mushroom. Now get half off a $30 gift card while supplies last at theGameNashville.com/deals. Gift card is good for the downtown Broadway and Franklin locations. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt filling in for Jared Stillman today here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3. The Game. Jake Lyman and Connor Newt in today. Thanks for joining us on your Wednesday afternoon. Do want to mention no Jared versus Joe today. We don't have Jared. We won't have Joe. But we will have Where Are They Now? The third day in a row where we look back and find out.
It's my day. I'm feeling it.
Who he play for. I've got a good one. I feel so good about this group of 5 players.
That you feel good that neither of us are going to get any of them?
I think you guys will get some of them.
I can't wait to crush Connor's belief.
The last 2 are going to be tough. But you're going to know all 5 names. I can guarantee that.
Okay.
I'm looking forward
to it. We got to get our pen and paper out.
That is coming up at 5. We are continuing to take your guys' thoughts out there about Mount Rushmore of the Titans. Top 4 players in franchise history. You know it's July when we're doing segments like this. But Bleacher Report put out their take, and it wasn't great. National media usually isn't going to know who was beloved by fans of each individual team. We went through and did ours. Again, I did Steve McNair, Derrick Henry, Keith Bullock, Kevin Byard. Connor goes with Steve McNair, Derrick Henry, Frank Wycheck, Javon Curse. Getting a lot of interaction here on our text line. 0096 says, does it have to be a player? I nominate Mike Keith.
Oh, I mean, we could do.
If you're doing like non-players, Floyd deserves to be in that conversation. Jeff Fisher.
Would we put Vrabel there?
No.
I don't think he did enough.
If he got
to an AFC championship, that's about it.
Right.
Won a division.
I think the longevity wasn't there for Vrabel.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just go with the owner and put Bud Adams in there.
But not Amy. Just Bud.
Just Bud. Joey from Gallatin mentions Mark Mariani is one of the best returners for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. It's tough when you're picking 4 total. Like we mentioned, we might do the offense and defense. Like you could come up with an offense, a defense, and a special teams and feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
But
would you put Morgan Cox on special teams?
No, I don't think he was here long enough. He's only been here for the last like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, but according to ESPN,
he's a very good player.
He's the best. He's the best long snapper.
He might be on the Ravens. The Ravens would have themselves a good special teams.
I mean, they'd have Justin Tucker,
and Morgan Cox is a good start.
Yeah,
I mean, for the Titans, I think Baronis and Kern for sure.
Yeah, definitely those 2. You could talk me into Pac-Man as a returner. Because Pac-Man was good. He's crazy, but he was good.
Craig Hentrick.
Yeah. Longevity wasn't there, but Khalif Raymond was a good returner.
So it does, but we want to make it a little tough on ourselves and make us make the tough decisions. And, we said only 1 running back, but the Titans, in terms of their franchise greats, you could easily say that maybe 3 of the top 4 players in franchise history are running backs. Like,
yeah,
I think
you have to put Steve McNair there.
I think if you were going to make an actual 4 and not limit the running backs, I think for sure it's Steve, Eddie, Derrick.
Yeah.
Then the 4th spot is where it becomes really hazy. Like we're getting all these mentions, and I know people have said Bruce Matthews. We tried to keep it to players who made their name in Tennessee, who are known for being Titans, not known for being Oilers.
Right.
Obviously, Bruce Matthews should be included in this conversation. So should Earl Campbell if we're going back to
Warren Moon.
Oilers days. Warren Moon. Like there's lots of options there. Yeah, I think if we didn't limit running backs, I think you can feel pretty safe that it's Steve, Eddie, Derrick. Then you have options, plenty of options for that 4th spot. And there really isn't a wrong answer. You could go Bullock. You could go Curse. You could go Wycheck. You could go Mason.
What did Chris call Chris Johnson earlier? He was trying to say
C2JK or something like that.
He couldn't say it. He was like C2KJ or something like that.
Yeah, he fumbled through CJ2K. 4851 says Justin Tucker, and then in Charles Barkley's voice, probably not a good time right now.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Maybe we don't mention Justin Tucker. Oops. Yeah, I mean, Jared did mention the headline out of Browns camp or Browns offseason camp last week of Deshaun Watson is taking Shedeur Sanders under his arm. It's like,
hey,
I don't know if that's who you want to be your mentor, but anyway, 9064 says McNair, George, Bullock, Henry. Didn't follow the running back rule, but I don't care. McNair, George, Henry, or locks. I agree. I think those are the easy three. And then I think there's probably 15 to 20 right answers after that for that last spot.
Yeah.
That I don't think, I think you're splitting hairs because it is tough to compare across positions at that point.
I feel like we're on some level not giving CJ enough credit.
I know,
because
he
I
was
love
so
him
good.
so much, and he's so good, and he was just so fat. The whole smash and dash thing in general was just so much fun.
You want to do a little hypothetical here?
Sure.
Because
yes.
DVD did their, if you could have one on-field do-over in Titans history, what if Chris Johnson doesn't get hurt in that divisional game against the Ravens? Do we remember him differently? And do the Titans win that game?
Yeah, because he was basically their whole
He
offense.
scored a touchdown on the first drive, and then, if I'm not mistaken, the Titans didn't score a touchdown the rest of the game.
Was Vince still the quarterback? Was that Vince?
No, Kerry Collins was the quarterback. Vince got hurt that year.
That's right. Man, I think they would have won that game because he was essentially their entire offense. Like, they didn't just hand the ball off to him.
Yeah, so
he was a dump off guy. He was a pitch guy. I mean, he was just so good.
The game ended 13-10, which that's what I thought the score was. Chris Johnson had 11 carries for 72 yards and a touchdown, but he got hurt. And I just wonder, if he had been healthy, do we remember him as one of the franchise greats if he gets them to the AFC Championship? They had just beaten the Steelers like a month ago. Before that, that was when Lendale was stomping on the terrible towel on the sideline.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Do they go to the Super Bowl that year if Chris Johnson stays healthy?
Now you have me thinking about what's the one play that DVD had.
This was theirs yesterday. On-field do-over, and it couldn't be that Kevin Dyson got to the goal line.
Honestly, this may be recency bias, but if you tackle Mahomes in the open field right before halftime in the AFC Championship, I think that kind of stifles some of the Chiefs' momentum, and the Titans may end up winning that game and go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's definitely one.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. That one, Mahomes, I think, you know what? The Tannehill game against the Bengals.
Yeah.
The 3 picks. The one I would take away is the middle one.
Yeah, because I remember that. That's the one where I was like, oh.
The Titans were down 10 at that point, I believe, and Deontay Foreman had just busted off like a 40-yard run, and on the next play, they tried that little screen pass, and Mike Hilton jumped it, tipped it to himself, and picked it. I would take away that one because if the Titans score on that drive, I think they win the game.
Yeah. There's so many. We could play the what-if game all day long. But the bottom line is Chris Johnson's a freaking beast.
9064 says, can we just redo the entire fourth quarter of the Bengals game? Worst day of my life as a Titans fan. See, I don't know about that because the Titans had to come back in that game.
Yeah.
Was it the first play of the fourth quarter was the A.J. Brown touchdown in the corner where Tannehill dropped it in the bucket?
That's right. Yep.
So I don't know if it's the full fourth quarter of the Bengals game, but yes, the last 2.5 minutes, 100%. Would love to redo that. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll still take your thoughts on the Titans Mount Rushmore. Who would be your top 4 players in history? I feel like we've covered pretty much every name that could even be considered at this point. But if you have more thoughts, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. When we come back, we had to move Newt's Notes today because Chris Sanders joined us at 2:45. We'll do it coming up next. You're on Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3. The Game, wrapping up the third hour of today's show. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, in for Jared Stillman today. Again, for those who haven't been listening, Jared will be back on Friday. He is not off the air, as one of our texters asked. He will be back on Friday, but we are with you today and tomorrow, and you heard the music. It's time for Newt's Notes. Connor, the segment is yours.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a disgrace to the game of baseball that has come upon us in the past 2 days. The Chicago Cubs, first off, they beat the Cardinals on Sunday Night Baseball 11-0. But as we know, is tradition in baseball, during the seventh inning stretch, we sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Now, those Chicago fans, pretty crazy about that tradition.
I can't believe you're going to punish Nashville audiences with this clip.
So guess what? Alex Cooper, who I have no idea who this woman is in my life, and Jake has informed me she's one of the most famous people on the planet.
Like, sure, her podcast is up there with Joe Rogan.
I do not know who this woman is.
Call her daddy.
Is that her slogan?
That's the name of the podcast. Her? Yeah.
Wow. The more you know.
I don't know who this woman is, but regardless, she's saying, "Take me out to the ball game," and maybe the worst clip of all time. Take it away, Miss Alex.
Her daddy and CEO of Barnwell, Alex Cooper.
All right, Daddy Gang and Cubs fans, are you ready? You've never seen something like this before. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Mommy's a peanut and Cracker Jack. I don't care. Never come back. So let's root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. So it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old game.
I can't believe we let that play the whole time. Oh my goodness. The
How dare she disrespect my Cubbies like that?
The boos are hilarious.
I mean, I just have to talk about this for a minute. Was she trying to be funny?
Yes, it was intentional, for sure.
What? Who allowed this?
I don't know. She thought she was being quirky and fun.
If you watch the video, she has like background dancers too, and that makes it even worse.
Yeah, I mean, Cubs fans, they take that stuff seriously. And
sure.
The traditions of the friendly confines out there, and yeah, that was not good. Not good at all. Very bad, in fact.
I mean, what was the point? And is 90% of the Cubs audience like me and have no idea who this woman is?
Right. I mean, I'm sure there were probably, I would venture to guess that most women know who Alex Cooper is. If you're above the age of 18, maybe like 18 to 35, I think that's kind of her demographic. I think you know who Alex Cooper is. It's horrible. Greg Roberts says dump button.
I don't think we have a dump button big enough to wipe that off the face of the planet.
Just hit it repeatedly. Just start punching the dump button.
That's why I said I can't believe we're punishing our audience with that rendition.
Well, I just want to talk about it. Like, what a disgrace to baseball. Like, you think it's funny. I've seen the Cubs bring in a lot of celebrities to sing that song, and most of them take it passionately. Sing their hearts out. Most of them are. And why did they pick her? Is she a Chicago native? Is she like a Cubs fan or something?
No, I think she's from New York. You know who she dated?
Who?
Noah Syndergaard.
As in former pitcher Noah Syndergaard?
Former Mets pitcher Noah Syndergaard.
It was to slight him.
He'd be a good who he play for.
He's not in the
Where
league
are they now?
Glad he's not on the list today.
He's pitching somewhere. Somebody just signed him. I don't know where, but maybe I'll find that. That could be a bonus question.
Every time I think of him, I think of did you ever see that episode of Impractical Jokers where Joe's punishment?
Yeah.
He has to Noah Syndergaard's throwing balls to the kid, and Joe has to steal
the autograph baseball.
Some lady just rips into him. It was so great.
I can't believe they allowed something like that in Wrigley Field out of all places.
I mean, the boos were glorious.
Oh, dude, she's not going to be loud back there. No way.
Guess that it's not like they approved it. I doubt that she practiced or anything like that. At least in front of people with the Cubs. Yeah, that was horrible.
I mean, she was trying to be funny, and it wasn't funny. Like,
right.
The whole time I watched it the first time, I was just staring at the screen.
Maybe to her niche group of fans, Daddy Gang, as she affectionately called them, off the top there. Daddy Gang.
I should start a podcast and call my fans Daddy Gang.
Yeah. Well, she's their daddy.
But she's
apparently.
Yeah.
We're not her daddy. Yeah, I think in to her followers, they probably love that, but there aren't a ton of her fans at Cubs games, I don't think. But I'm surprised that you guys didn't know who this was.
I don't listen to a lot of podcasts that aren't sports.
I don't think I listen to any podcasts that aren't sports. Well, I listen to a couple faith ones, but I mean,
yeah.
I would say
daily advocation.
Yeah.
I would argue that Alex Cooper is probably one of the top 10 most famous female celebrities.
I do not know who this woman is.
Like,
is she only does podcasts, or does she do something else?
She owns like her own media company now or something, but she started at Barstool. She's behind like Taylor Swift and some of those like mega pop stars, Beyonce.
I mean, you learn something new
but
every day.
I would, in terms of listenership, she's up there with Rogan for like biggest podcasts.
I had never heard of her. I don't know who she is, but I mean, that was embarrassing. Like, that's up there with Fergie and who was the one that did the national anthem? I think it was at that All-Star game in the MLB.
Tennille Towns, was that her name?
And she was high when she did it.
Yeah, she had to check into rehab.
She checked into rehab, but God, it was so bad, man. Texter says,
wait, no, it's not Tennille Towns.
Texter says Conor McGregor did it a few years ago, and even he was better. I remember CM Punk doing it for Chicago at Wrigley, and he was probably better. I mean, God, I don't ever want to listen to that again. I just thought I'd bring that because.
Well, thank you for feeling the need to share.
Ingrid, not Tennille Towns. Ingrid Andress was the one who said
that's right. That's right.
But man, dude, I still can't believe Wrigley Field allowed that.
Yeah,
that's terrible.
I would venture to guess that she will not be invited back.
Yeah. I mean, she tried to make it funny. And like you said, maybe for the 5% of people who actually know who she is, they thought it was funny. For one, I don't know who she is.
Right. And I would guess, as Dylan in Antioch says, more people at the game knew who Alice Cooper was over Alex Cooper. Yeah.
I know who Alice Cooper is.
Her target audience is not Cubs fans.
I mean, I'm obviously not in her target audience. I don't know who that is. But God, I mean, what a disgrace to baseball. I mean, take me out to the ball game. I don't think it should be held in the same standard as our national anthem, but it should be pretty close. Like,
yeah, no, definitely not national anthem, but like I agree. At Cubs games, it is a respected tradition, and yeah, she did not take it seriously whatsoever. Not that she's a singer, but you could at least give it a little bit more respect than she did. Yes.
And Wrigley let her know how they felt.
Yes. Yeah. The boos were funny that they just were like, who is this? Put the mic down. We're done with you. 9192 does point out, yes, the anthem last year was Ingrid Andress was that at the Rangers Stadium last year?
Yes. I remember watching that live. I was like, whoa, what is going on? Another one I hated, a lot of people loved, the year after Fergie at the NBA All-Star game. It was in Chicago, and Shaka Khan did the national anthem.
Yeah.
I hated it.
The Fergie one is hilarious, and the Warriors dancing to the remix in their locker room
forever. Well, have you ever seen the guy that I think he sings at the Chicago Blackhawks game in the playoffs?
Oh yeah,
in 2013, and he doesn't know the words, so he goes and the stars and stripes were there or something. Like, he doesn't know the words. Everyone starts booing him.
As somebody who spent 2 full summers broadcasting summer league baseball and having to hear somebody new sing the national anthem pretty much every single day.
You've heard it all.
Oh my goodness. The amount of times people get 75% of the way done with the song, forget where they are, and go backwards and have to sing the rest of it. And me, who I'm waiting for this commercial break to end. I need you to finish your anthem so I can start talking. And you go back and basically sing the whole thing twice. Gotta know the words. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. If you'd like to text or call, our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. When we come back, we'll do a third straight day of Where Are They Now? Our new game show that we have, kind of worked our way through. The new rules, though, you have to write down your answer.
Question.
Yeah.
I don't have paper in front of me. Can I use a Google Doc?
Well, we do have a break to go get you some paper.
We do.
So we will take a break and we will play Where Are They Now? I'm really excited for this. I feel like this will be a good one. Everyone should know these names. We'll do it next here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Final hour on this Wednesday, Stillman and Company, presented by Southern Bank of Tennessee, your bank for small business. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly with you, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly BI membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Again, with Jared out this week, no Jared versus Joe. Typically, Jared versus Joe right at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday, presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. But Jared out this week. I believe we won't have it next week either, so maybe a couple weeks. But once training camp rolls around, I'm sure we will have a geared up Jared Stillman and Joe Rexrode for those battles. So excited for that. Instead, it's 5 o'clock this week, which means it's time for Where Are They Now? And today I am hosting. I have 5 names.
Oh, yes.
Again, to recap the rules, Connor and Parker are going to go head-to-head here. I have 5 players that everyone will know from their past accomplishments, but maybe don't know where they're playing now. That is the job of Connor and Parker, is to guess what league, what team they're playing in. The first 3 are playing in North America. The last 2 can be anywhere in the world. And we have changed the rules. You have to write it down. Write down league, write down team. It's 1 point for the right league, 2 extra points for the right team. Winner takes all and gets to host tomorrow. We got it?
Oh, I'm ready.
Here we go.
The pregame speech has been said to my brain.
It's time for this edition of Where Are They Now? Hit the music.
Let's go.
All right.
All right.
Our first one, a former college basketball star.
Oh.
Played at Creighton. Doug McDermott.
Oh, Dougie.
Where is Doug McDermott playing now? And again, the first 3 will all be in North America. They have to write it down. We're going by the honor system here, that somebody's going to answer first. You're not allowed to change your answer. Answers are locked in. You guys got it?
I'm good.
All right, Connor Newt.
We got it.
Where is Doug McDermott playing?
I wrote Doug McDermott is in the NBA, playing for the San Antonio Spurs.
All right. Parker Kelly, where is Doug McDermott?
Doug McDermott is active, but in the G League.
For what team?
I don't know any G League teams besides the Memphis Hustle.
Well, you're wrong either way. He is in the NBA.
Okay.
Point for Connor Newt, but he is playing for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
Doug McDermott,
That was
former
close.
Creighton Blue Jay, played for his dad.
I know. Yeah, I was going to say, I know his dad's the head coach.
Yeah, played for his dad at Creighton. He is with the Sacramento Kings. All right, 1-0 Connor. Our second player, baseball player. He was actually on the Detroit Tigers during their good teams in the early 2010s. He became famous once again last year playing for the Mets with his song OMG. Jose Iglesias. Where is Jose Iglesias in the world?
Okay.
I can already tell you I don't know where he is.
Jose was a big part of the grimace run for the Mets to make it to the playoffs last year. They sang his original song OMG. I will let you know he's no longer on the Mets, so I wouldn't guess that. But where is Jose Iglesias?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Connor Newt, answers are locked in. Where is Jose Iglesias playing?
I'm going to say he is in AAA baseball in the MILB for Scranton Wilkes-Barre.
Okay, so that would be part of the Yankees organization with Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Parker Kelly, where is Jose Iglesias?
He is in the MLB for the Athletics.
Point for Parker. He is in the MLB. Jose Iglesias is playing for the San Diego Padres.
Okay.
He is a Padre. So we're tied.
Can I get an extra
apiece.
point for guessing the correct state? Well, I guess the
No,
Athletics aren't.
shut up.
It's not part of the rules, but I like the effort there.
I need a point for creativity.
See this? He's trying to cheat. I mean,
He's trying to shave as many points as he can. Get as many from the judge as possible. It is 1-1 right now with 3 to go. Again, this is the last one that is in North America. The other 2 could be anywhere in the world. Could be in North America, but could be anywhere in the world. We're going to football here.
Okay.
East Carolina, great. Wide receiver, Zay Jones. Where is Zay Jones playing now? He's been all over the place during his NFL career.
Former Raven, right?
I believe former Raven, former Raider, former Jaguar.
Okay.
Zay Jones is our third here on Where Are They Now? Our daily segment these days here on Stillman and Company while we fill in for
I know
Jared.
this one.
Ready.
So we're writing them down. Answers are locked. Connor Newt, where is Zay Jones?
Shot at the dark. He's in the UFL, Michigan Panthers.
All right.
That's where Connor's wrong. He's in the NFL for the Arizona Cardinals.
Ding, 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 ding. Parker takes the lead.
I don't like how
4-1.
cocky he is, you know?
How'd you not know that, Connor? Come on, dude.
Wow, we got
Why are you here?
We have a guest appearance here on
'Cause
Where
I
Are They
can
Now? That's David Jane's music as he comes in and celebrates Parker's three-pointer there. Man, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to get one of these on the dot
I mean,
if you want to come back. It's 4-1 Parker. Does Connor's slump and Where Are They Now continue? All right, let's go to number 4. We're going back to baseball here. Damn it. I know that's probably not what you wanted to hear.
no. We're going to college basketball. I was like, all right.
We are going to baseball. Former Dodger standout had a Linsanity run back in, was it 2011, 2012, somewhere in there? Yasiel Puig.
Oh, wow.
Where
Blast
is
from the past.
Yasiel Puig playing?
So they're not in North America.
He could be,
This-
but he could be anywhere in the world. This one is wide open.
I don't know any teams, so I'm just going to make one up.
Yasiel Puig is number
I have
4
my
on
best
Where Are
guess.
They Now today. Right now, Parker with a 4-1 lead. So Connor is going to have to get one of these on the dot.
I'm not getting this
I'm
one.
telling you, it's going to be tough. Parker, you can go first this time. Where is Yasiel Puig?
So he's not in the United States. He is in the Dominican Republic. I just don't know any teams down there.
Make a team up.
That's what I did.
The Santa Ana Rockettes.
All right, the Santa Ana Rockettes in the Dominican
I'm
Republic.
getting handicapped right here.
Well,
I just made up the
I'll-
Rockettes. Come on.
I'll
Everyone knows the
I'll
Santa
spoil
Ana
it.
Rockettes.
Parker is wrong.
Okay. He's playing in Puerto Rico for a team I completely made up, El Tigres de Fuego.
Oh, the Fire Tigers. You guys went Caribbean. Should have gone to Asia. He is in the
Wow.
Korean Baseball League, playing with the Kiwoom Heroes and hitting a balmy 212.
So
Woo.
what nationality is Yaswa?
He is
I can't
Cuban.
say his
Cuban,
name.
yeah.
Yeah. He is Cuban. So Yasiel Puig hitting 212 with the Kiwoom Heroes in the KBO.
All right, baby. Give me
All right,
give me basketball.
We're down to the last one. I do have a tiebreaker ready if we need it. It is a basketball player.
All right.
Could be anywhere in the world. Former Oklahoma City Thunder player. He was probably number 4 on the teams that had Durant, Harden, and Westbrook. Where
Serge.
is Serge Ibaka in the world?
Surge. Where's Surge? Okay.
Serge Ibaka, longtime NBA player. He was the power forward on those Thunder team.
All right, I'm
They
ready.
went to the finals. We're going to let Parker go first here
Okay.
because
That's fine.
I want a little bit of drama. Again, it's 4-1. Parker leads Connor Newt. If Connor can somehow, shot in the dark, figure out exactly what team Serge Ibaka is playing on, he can tie it and send us to a tiebreaker. I will read the tiebreaker either way, just because I
like those.
Parker Kelly, where is Serge Ibaka?
So here's my best guess. He's active, but a lot of NBA players, former NBA players, go to China. So I think he's in China playing for the Shanghai Sharks.
All right.
I
You
wrote
went
down
to China?
the exact same thing.
Wow. You guys both went to Asia on the wrong one.
It's Japan.
You went to Asia.
It's Guangdong.
No, you went to Asia for the basketball player, not the baseball player. You should have gone for the baseball player. Serge Ibaka is playing in Spain for Real Madrid in the EuroLeague.
Damn it. The slump
So-
continues, man.
Jake, go ahead and announce the winner now.
No,
Parker Kelly
Don't entertain
with his second
cockiness.
win of the week. Parker
Just
Kelly
getting
is
too
now
cocky over here,
he
man.
is
Get
now-
off the air.
Parker Kelly is now 2-0 in Where Are They Now? That one went off the rails. Do you guys want the tiebreaker for fun?
Yeah, just for fun.
Okay,
Give
so
it to me.
same format as it was on Monday. I'm going to give you career path. This is a football player, by the way. You have to guess who it is. All right, career path. Started with the Philadelphia Eagles, then the Washington Commanders, then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, back to the Philadelphia Eagles, the LA Rams, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Baltimore Ravens. Who is the player?
He's a traveling man.
He is a traveling man. He's been all over the NFL.
Read those teams off one more time.
Yeah, give it to me again.
Eagles, Washington, Tampa Bay, back to the Eagles, Rams, Raiders, Ravens.
Is it like super obvious?
It should be, yeah. Do you guys want a position?
Yeah.
Wide receiver.
I knew it. Now I'm blanking on his name because I know exactly who it is.
I think I have it.
His highlight came from Michael Vick, right?
I think I have it.
Who you got?
Deshaun Jackson?
Deshaun Jackson.
That's what I was going there.
Deshaun Jackson. Yeah, sorry, not Deshaun Jackson's highlight was the Miracle in the Meadowlands 2.0 when he returned the punt for a touchdown.
Because I knew it was Deshaun Jackson, and I was thinking Eagles receiver, and I just couldn't get there.
Yep, Deshaun Jackson.
About to say Earl Thomas, and then you said wide receiver.
Parker wins in Where Are They Now? He will host our final edition on Stillman and Company tomorrow. But if you do like Where Are They Now, which we're getting some good feedback here. 0989 says this may be my new favorite game. So
it's not mine because I keep losing.
We do play it on Force Company, our Saturday show, which is taking a few weeks off. We won't have a show this Saturday or next Saturday, but starting the 26th, you can come back for more Where Are They Now fun.
I can only beat Nick Frazier.
Yeah.
I seem to like this game a lot.
Well, we will have
I own him in everything. I own him in birthdays. I own him in this. Me
and you will face off for the third time.
It is harder writing it down because I can't.
Right. You can't adjust based on
like if he says, I think he's playing in China, I can't.
Yeah.
Bounce off of him.
Nope. Yeah. Because once he said the Shanghai Sharks, you knew it was over.
But I like this better.
Yeah. It was fun. 615-737-1025 is our phone number here on the program. Again, no Jared versus Joe this week as Jared is out, but that will return in a couple of weeks when Jared comes back, and he will be all ramped up for training camp. But Jared versus Joe is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. When we come back, there were some uniform changes announced today in the NFL. We'll talk about those and maybe give our thoughts on what the Titans should do when they make their uniform changes that have been rumored. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly in today for Jared Stillman here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, in for Jared Stillman today. Again, Jared will be back on Friday. You got one more show with us tomorrow. So far, what we're going to talk about tomorrow, I'm writing this down. Oh, we have our NFL preview. We're going to wrap it up with the AFC and NFC South. We've talked about that. Also, tomorrow, I want to get into the SEC a little bit because SEC Media Days are coming up next week. We're going to have a ton of coverage here on 102.5 The Game. So we're going to preview that a little bit, look at some of the players who are going to be down there, and preview Vandy and Tennessee a little bit. So
the SEC.
Yes.
The SEC.
The SEC. The SEC championship.
We got the SEC, the AC.
Yeah, and then
that's it.
That's about it. The B10.
The MAC.
We will get into that tomorrow, so make sure you tune in 2 to 6 as we will wrap up our week here on Stillman and Company. Jared, again, will be back on Friday. Just finished an electric segment of Where Are They Now? Our new game show here on the program. We'll play one more game tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Parker will host since he won. Me and Connor will go head-to-head again. Maddie on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, said for Yasiel Puig, he just invented the Tokyo Wombats.
Yeah.
Seems like that's how it goes.
I mean, once you get to international, it's
if
I can get the league, I'm good. But,
right. Connor's only win came because he guessed the Guangdong Tigers.
Yeah.
When
at
was
the buzzer.
This?
On Force Company.
Game.
The first ever game, the last one, I had Guangdong Tigers, and Connor needed to get the team exactly right to beat Frazier, and he did. So
I gotta channel that energy again.
You do.
It's all mental. It's like a baseball player. If you get rung up a few times, you get in your head.
You got the yips going on.
I'm in my head. You're not in my head. I'm in my head.
No, I think I'm getting in your head a little
you're
bit.
not.
It's all right.
Well, once you got Zay Jones, I was like,
yeah, Zay Jones was that was the sealer. Getting any of these guys exactly right it's tough to come back from. Did want to touch on this. Today seemed to be NFL uniform release day. The Commanders releasing throwbacks. They called them their Super Bowl era throwbacks, I believe, which basically it was just the old Redskins uniforms.
You can
just
say it.
with the W. Yeah, I hesitated just a little bit there.
You can say it. It's a former team.
Yes, it's their old Redskins uniforms with the new helmets, basically, and I think they look great. I really do.
I do too.
I think it is going to be one of those things, and we've seen it before. I think the Jets did the same thing where they had the throwbacks, and it just became their regular uniforms. I think these will eventually be the Commanders' normal uniforms.
I would have loved it a lot better if they went with gold pants. The normal uniform is burgundy helmet, white jersey, burgundy pants, which looks awesome. But there's something about when I think of the Redskins, I think of those gold pants.
Yeah, they're gonna wear those 3 times this year, but it wouldn't surprise me if they expand it. They make a home version of it, and then that just becomes their regular uniform.
So are they doing away with the black that they wear?
I don't know. See, I don't hate the black uniforms of them. I don't like the W on the front of the helmet. That's the only thing I don't like about it. I think those uniforms look great outside of that W.
Yeah. I don't think they're getting rid of it.
Okay.
But because now the NFL allows all these alternate uniforms.
That is true. You can have multiple helmets.
Is great.
So
great for
it's phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah, love it.
I never understood why they wouldn't. And now the Titans not going to wear the Oilers, but that's a story for another day. The Saints added white helmets, which I think is cool. Those black helmets they tried to introduce a couple years ago were horrible.
They're terrible.
And I think the white ones hit better. They can do the Stormtrooper look now,
yeah.
which with the gold accents, I think that's going to look
what
pretty
might
good.
Look good? White helmet because it has a gold face mask, black top, white bottoms.
Yeah.
That might look all right.
It's a little bit all over the place, but it might work. These teams try and experiment with these combinations.
But they're going to put it with their all white, like the white with the gold numbers and the white pants. It's going to be
gold
a
pants.
Yeah. It's going to be a Stormtrooper look.
The one that I always think of when I think of NFL teams experimenting with jersey combinations is the Ravens, just horrendous. It was purple jerseys with gold pants.
Yeah, gold is awful.
Oh my God, they were horrible.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
You know which Titans combo a lot of people liked and I never liked? When they unveiled the new ones, they put these out. Or they wore them 1 week and I was like, what the hell is that? The Navy helmets, obviously.
Yeah.
Navy tops, light blue bottoms.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one.
Not a fan.
I
like it better with the white bottoms.
Yeah, I think the white bottoms look best with any of the jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had to pick color on color to go with, I would go light blue tops, navy blue bottoms.
Love those.
Then I feel like to make it look aesthetically pleasing, you have to like sandwich it like navy, light blue, navy,
or go all in one.
Right.
Or even then, like wear one color helmet and then the rest. Like when the Titans did code blue. Yeah. A lot of people didn't like that. I always liked it.
Yeah. I like the color rush uniforms.
Oh, those are so cool.
I hated that they were only worn against the Jaguars, basically. They wore them in that Steelers game where Marcus threw 4 picks too.
Yeah, and
I was at that game.
The Steelers were all black.
Yes. Antonio Brown caught 3 touchdowns. Marcus threw 4 picks. But Rashard Matthews did catch a 75-yard touchdown, which was the only moment that I remember being good from that game. Well, I guess we got to hit a break here. But when we come back, let's have a conversation about what we want to see from the Titans when they do their uniform reveal, because it's been put out there. Warren Moon basically said that the Titans are getting new uniforms when he gave the number 1 to Cam Ward. What are we looking for in these new uniforms? Do we want something closer to the Oilers? Do we want something similar to the original Titans, or something completely new altogether? I think there's a lot of good answers to this. And if you have thoughts, text us 615-737-1025. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I would guess that the uniforms are coming with the new stadium.
Yeah.
That just, the timeline makes sense of new stadium, new look. So we've got 2 more years of these uniforms, it seems. What do we want to see changed?
Which everyone hates. I don't think they're that awful.
I don't hate the current uniforms.
The old ones are way, way better.
But I do think they could use a refresh.
Sure.
So we'll talk about it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number here on the program. Talking uniforms today as a couple of NFL teams changed up their looks on this July morning. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly. We're in with you here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly in for Jared today. 30 minutes left in the show. But again, don't forget to tune in tomorrow, our final show of the week before Jared returns. Lots to get to, college football, NFL. We're talking NFL here as it was uniform change day. The Commanders releasing new throwback uniforms that gives a Redskins feel to it. The stripes on the sleeves and the numbers and the font on the lettering and all that kind of stuff. The Saints added a white helmet, which I think looks great. But the Titans have long rumored been maybe getting new uniforms in the next couple of years. And Warren Moon, I think, let it slip when he gave Cam Ward the number 1. He said they're getting new uniforms too, which will be very similar to the Oilers, was kind of his exact wording.
But more futuristic.
He said with a modern touch to it. So what are we looking for when the Titans do get new uniforms? I think we're 2 years away.
Yeah.
When the new stadium opens, they'll get new uniforms. Do we want something closer to the Oilers, or do you think what the Titans currently have just needs a little bit of a touch-up?
I want kind of a hybrid, if that makes sense. I want to see basically the Oilers, white helmet with the Titans logo on it.
Yeah.
Red face mask, light blue jersey, white pants, the whole shebang like the Oilers.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think that is exactly what I'm looking for.
And then on the road, you can go all white, and I think they should introduce light blue pants.
Yeah.
So you can go white helmet. Or you want to do alternate helmet? Do the light blue Oilers helmet they did.
No, I think that is what you need. White helmet,
but with the Titans
logo.
The
Titans logo, obviously. And I think that they've already kind of spoiled that Titans blue is going to be the main color moving forward. They don't make that whole press announcement of the Titans are embracing Titans blue, and that's going to be the main color. The light blue is going to be the main color moving forward. Do you
think they do away with navy then?
I think navy is going to become a background color. It still will be there because I don't think they want to get rid of the two-tone blue aspect of it. But I think it's going to be a lot less navy and a little more red.
Yeah. Could you see a red jersey in the future?
What about like a red helmet? I mean, because the Lions have like that Hawaiian blue with the black
light blue
lion logo.
Would you want like a Houston Texans battle chrome red?
Battle red,
whatever they call it.
I mean,
my worry is if
that might be pretty cool.
Yeah, my worry is if they do a red jersey, it's going to look too similar to what the Patriots wear with their throwback.
That is a good point. I like a red jersey, but if you're embracing the Oilers of it all, I just don't know if it fits. I'd love a red jersey of the old ones, like red with the navy blue up here, or the red with the silver.
Yeah, but I don't think it would work for the Oilers.
That's what I'm saying. Is I think if you're going to embrace the light blue and the Oilers history, I think you kind of gotta avoid the red.
I'm trying to think of alternates. Then, would you do a gray,
black?
I was going to say black. I think there's going to be a uniform in the future that incorporates black.
See, this is one of my takes with uniforms. I think every team should have a black jersey.
Yep. No, my dad gets so mad at me when I say this. I think black works for every single team,
especially the Titans with the light blue and the red that would pop off a black jersey so much. I think if the Titans decided to do an all black, go black helmet, black jersey, black pants,
light blue numbers.
With like light blue numbers and little pops of red.
I can see it.
You know what they would do if they did that for the reveal video, right?
The oil. And that's what everybody thought when they were doing the reveal, and maybe stupidly because they were going Oilers, but a black Oilers uniform would kind of be decent. Like, I mean, you would go Titans at this point, but black with like the light blue oil derricks with maybe some red outlines.
I think they're getting rid of the oil derrick.
I think so too.
But you could do like the Titans logo in black, outlined by light blue, Titans blue.
Yeah.
I think that I have a hat like that.
What about an icy white?
They're going to do white.
Yeah.
Every team's going to do white.
Especially if they have white helmets. Now, I would like to see...
With like a chrome logo, though. That's what I'm saying.
like the Vikings do?
Yeah. I mean, the
it.
Packers do it to an extent, but it's not necessarily like chrome.
I kind of like the traditional, like if you're going to do an all white, just change the face mask, like white helmet, white face mask, all white.
Auburn does that.
Go full stormtrooper.
Kentucky does that.
Yeah.
7341 asks, am I suffering from Mandela effect, or did the Titans have alternate red jerseys in the early 2000s? I don't know if they ever wore them, but they've sold them.
Yes. They
Like,
were retail.
They sell them to the fans. I have a Marcus Mariota red jersey from like 10 years ago.
I like the new red jerseys that were retail. Like they're just today's jerseys, but red with silver and gray. I think they look good.
They could have done red. I just don't know if they will. Taylor says they should just bring back the Oilers throwbacks and have the Titans logo. Just my opinion, though. That's kind of what we're saying, is it's going to be basically that. Billy from Bellevue, black is not a Titans color. Why even try? That would look awful. If anything, it would have to be dark gray, navy, like the Texans' new uniforms. I am Billy from Bellevue, and I have spoken.
Thank you, Billy.
I think that's a good place to end this.
We have his blessing. We can move on.
I did want to get back to our conversation from yesterday about the college football playoff format. And we kind of had to cut that debate short a little bit because we had Trevor coming on. But I still don't understand why anyone other than the Big Ten would want the 4-4-2-2.
I mean, I slept on it. I still don't get it.
Me too. I was thinking about it last night, actually, because I did want to understand the concept of why would any other the Big 12 is the only other one I can think of that may get behind that.
The ACC should as well.
But Brett Yormark came out and said he supported the 5-11 yesterday,
exactly.
Right?
And I think Brett Yormark is one of the good ones in college football where he doesn't just necessarily, because Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, I mean, they're out for their conferences, understandably so, but Brett Yormark wants more parity across college football, not just in the Big 12.
Yeah, and I think that's how people should be looking at it overall, is what's best for college football. But these guys aren't hired to do what's best for college football. They're hired to do what's best for their teams.
At the end of the day, it's all money driven.
Right.
Because if you're the SEC, you don't want this because you want the most amount of teams in. If you're the Big Ten, you do want this because you want the most amount of teams in.
That's why the 4-4-2-2-1-1 is what's best for college football, because more conferences are represented. 5+11, you get way more Big Ten and SEC.
I think that's more of a fan view. Though.
I don't want.
What do you mean that's a fan view? Just go look at history.
I don't want the most conferences represented. I want the best teams.
You're still going to get the best with the 4-4-2 because they're never going to be 14. They're never going to be 12. They're never going to be 16 teams capable of winning the national championship.
I do agree with that, but only having 3 at-large spots opens up the possibility of, let's say, the 2-3 seeds in the SEC and the Big Ten both lose. So they would automatically get those at-large bids. And that would push somebody else out that deserves to be there. Like, let's say the 5. I mean, I get it. You're settling it on the field. They should have won that game. But I think you should still give the best teams throughout the regular season the opportunity to play in the college football playoff.
I'm confused. So, like,
I'm saying that, like, let's say the 3 and 4 seeds in the SEC and the Big Ten both lose their play-in game. One of those teams is not making the college football playoff anymore, at least.
Right. If they won in, they should have won.
But are we going to let one game on one day decide who gets in and who doesn't, when the regular season should be more of a data point?
And that is the great part about it, because it is placing the most emphasis up until the very last weekend.
But look at Ohio State last
as possible.
year. Like, Ohio State missed the Big Ten championship, but then won the national championship. But they got in because their regular season was better. I don't know.
It doesn't move it.
Well,
and
that had its own flaws. The whole 12 team had its own flaws.
Right. And last year does have to be taken with a grain of salt because the seeding was all messed up, and they fixed that.
And as far as you saying there's not going to be 16 teams capable of winning, that's the same for every single sport.
And that's true. Why, if there's not 16 teams capable of winning, why are we doing
64 teams capable of winning March Madness?
But it's March Madness, and college basketball and college football are very different. Very different.
They are
Actually,
different.
what about UConn? UConn was a 4 seed, and they won the whole thing.
But a 4 seed is much, much different from a 16 seed.
There have been 8 seeds. What, Georgetown? Didn't Georgetown win it, or Kentucky?
I mean,
Kentucky won it as an 8 seed.
No, they did not.
Butler went to the championship as an 8 or 9.
Kentucky must have went as an 8 seed, though, right?
They played UConn. It was an 8 versus 7, but they didn't win. And there's a stark difference from an 8 seed to a 16 seed.
I think guaranteeing spots to conferences before the season is just so dangerous because you don't know what those conferences are going to look like on a year-to-year basis. There are going to be years where the Big Ten doesn't deserve 4. There are going to be years when the Big 12 doesn't deserve 2. Like,
I don't think there will be many where the SEC doesn't deserve 4.
Right.
And that's going to have to take several years to convince the rest of the college football world otherwise, because right now and the last 5-10 years, it's just been the SEC and Big Ten.
I mean, Clemson was up there for a long time. Florida State was too.
I mean, yes, but that's 2 teams, but the ACC would still get representation in this model.
I can't see how that model works for anyone but the Big Ten. I really can't. Like,
it would work for the Big 12?
Well,
ACC?
The Big 12 shouldn't really. The Big 12, I think, is kind of in the situation of the Big 10, where it's SEC, Big 10, ACC, Big 12. Like, you group them in 2, but the ACC has more talent than the Big 12 does, just like the SEC has better than the Big 10 does.
I mean, there's a chance that I'm pretty sure they're going to expand, but the SEC and the Big 10 are at odds on this. So what if we don't get either? What if we still get a 12 team?
I'd be fine with that.
That's still in the deck of cards.
I don't think we need 16. I would much rather just stick with 12.
I'm fine with 12.
They're
going to expand. That's
12. They're going to, because it makes more money, and that's what the world revolves around. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'd love to hear from you. Last call for phones. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Wrapping up the show on the other side, Jake Lyman, Connor Newt, Parker Kelly here on Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Final segment on this Wednesday. Don't forget, right after us, a special edition of Chasing Checkers with Big Joe Dubin and Joseph Newgarden. We will be sending it up to them in just over 10 minutes from now. Wrapping up the show, Jake Lyman, Connor Newton, Parker Kelly. We were talking college football playoff expansion on the other side. Nevada Josh brings up a topic that I think we can finish the show with here. The Big 12 or the Big 16. The Big 10 needs to change to the Big 18 also. It's so confusing. The SEC was smart enough not to put a number in their name.
And the ACC.
Well, the ACC isn't the Atlantic Coast Conference anymore either.
That is true.
The SEC,
well, then the SEC isn't the Southeast anymore.
It's close enough, though.
Missouri.
I like Missouri
Texas,
and Texas,
Oklahoma.
but it's still relatively regional.
Yeah.
Like,
at least they all border each other.
If you drew quadrants of the United States, they'd all be close to the southeast quadrant.
Yeah.
The ACC, I mean, you can't have Stanford and Cal in your conference and be the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Or even SMU.
Right. Well, I mean, at least SMU's not on the Pacific Coast.
Yeah.
And then, the Big 10 and the Big 12, I get it. There's brand recognition there, but
I mean, it's the Big Ten's mostly the northern to Midwest portion of the country.
I'm wondering, we are seeing some name changes. Who is the latest conference that's changing their name? I saw this the other day, and I'm blanking on it.
It's not the Pac-12's coming back, but
they're going to be the Pac-8. But there was another one. Is it the American or Conference USA? One of them.
No, it's not USA.
I don't know. I thought that I saw somebody was changing their name, but I think we should.
Oh, you're thinking of the WAC?
Yes.
Or some,
yeah. The WAC is now.
They used to be the SWAC.
No, the SWAC. No,
SWAC's it. Yeah. SWAC. Because Shedeur Sanders is undefeated in the SWAC. He let us know.
SWAC. Yeah. Well, that didn't help me. I looked up WAC changing name, and I got a whole bunch of Washington State changing your name stuff. So
something else.
I don't know.
That's good.
But I think it's time. I understand there's brand recognition, but let's get these names to make sense again.
Yeah. That's why we like the SEC.
Yeah.
The SEC at least makes sense.
The SEC, at least at this point, it makes sense. The ACC, ready? The All Coast Conference.
You can still be the ACC.
The American Coastal Conference. You could change it up and still be the ACC, keep the brand recognition.
Yeah.
And honestly, the Big 10, you could become the Big 18 and keep that BIG kind of similar. It might look a little funky, but it would be close enough.
You'd have to find a different Roman numeral for the Big 16.
This is why when I'm elected college football commissioner, I'll bring back the Southwest Conference and restore order.
Are you putting Tulane back in the SEC?
Nope.
What about Sewanee?
Sewanee's staying in D3.
Are you putting Chicago University in the Big 10?
Negative.
You got to rebrand it. Like the Pac-10 became the Pac-12, and now they're going to be the Pac-8. They were the Pac-2 last year.
Yeah.
I think it's time. But actually, I take it back because let's wait a couple more years because odds are the Big Ten's not done expanding.
Oh, yeah. I think the SEC is done expanding unless they get Clemson, or
Florida State, Miami are the only three.
Yeah.
And if they went to 20, I think maybe Chapel Hill is where you go.
Yeah, but I feel like if you get Chapel Hill, you try to get Duke too.
Yeah, maybe you don't separate them. Maybe Georgia Tech's the easier one since they already have the rivalry with Georgia. It wouldn't be the sexy pick, but I think it might make the most sense if you went Miami, Florida State, Clemson, Georgia Tech.
Here's the interesting thing about the ACC. So the buyout fee gets to its lowest point. If a team wants to leave the conference, it gets to its lowest point during 2031, $75 million, which is like pocket change to most of these schools.
So they're locked in for at least
a while.
So 2031, if you're looking for a year to circle, that's the year you want to circle because more conference realignment could be coming.
The question becomes, how relevant are Clemson and Florida State at that point? You still got 6 years, and Clemson, we've talked about it. I think Clemson's going to be really good this year, so maybe they hold themselves. But Florida State went 2-10 last year.
Dabo's getting older too.
Yeah, I think he's got a while left in him.
Yeah, they'll never fire him. He'll leave on his own terms.
Does he have a lifetime contract? Dabo?
I'm sure he does.
Don't ever
I'm
do
sure
a
he does.
lifetime contract,
Yeah.
folks.
Hey,
It's a bad idea.
if he wins
You
the
would know.
national championship this year,
Twice.
he should just drop the mic and walk off the stage.
Yeah.
It
I
won't
mean,
happen, but that would be hilarious. He
it
has
is-
every right to.
it is funny because during the years where it felt like it was Alabama Clemson in the championship every single season,
Yeah.
all the talk was when Saban retires, Dabo's taking that job.
Yep.
And then they wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole
Yeah.
because he basically swore off the transfer portal.
And I think that kind of tainted his image a little bit, I guess, because it showed that, he's not as willing to adapt to the new wave of college football as a Kalen DeBoer would have been. Or
He has, at the very least, he has started to adapt. They've started to use the portal more, but
I would love, we talked about it earlier, I'd love North Carolina and Duke in the SEC for basketball purposes.
Yep.
Because you'd have these like Kentucky and North Carolina would play in conference play. You'd see Duke and Tennessee play in conference play.
It would be good.
It'd be good basketball.
I think that would, if it's already not solidified, I think it is, but the SEC would be head and shoulders above everyone else in football and basketball.
I mean, that would completely knock ACC out of
the
Power Four.
We had this conversation a couple weeks ago about the downfall of the ACC and how they went from, you could look back as recently as like 2019, 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
Where ACC basketball was really good. And now they get
conference.
Now they get 4 teams into the tournament every year.
Yeah.
If that.
It's wild.
Crazy.
Just wild.
I mean, it's all the coaches retiring, obviously, is part of that, but also just the money. The ACC doesn't have the money to keep up with the SEC.
Don't sign bad TV deals.
That is a lesson that everybody should have
Or
learned.
lifetime contracts.
Yeah.
I would know all about that.
There you go.
Twice.
Don't sign lifetime contracts. Don't sign bad TV deals.
And don't lose to food. Rice.
All right. Oh, don't lose to food. Gotcha. Yeah.
Did I lose to Rice?
The Rice Owls.
Yes.
That'll do it for us here on this Wednesday. We will be back again tomorrow, wrapping up our week on Stillman and Company. Again, Jared will be back on Friday. Tomorrow, finishing our NFL preview, looking at the AFC, NFC South. We're going to preview SEC Media Days and much more. A comment on Chris Long's podcast caught my ear earlier today, so we'll talk about that tomorrow too. But coming up next, Chasing Checkers, a special edition with Big Joe Dubin and Joseph Newgarden. Keep it tuned right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.